I think we're on.
Looks like we are on, everybody. We're trying something new tonight too. So we're going on TikTok as well.
Yeah, that's a first, hey?
That is a first. Not sure how that's going to affect the bandwidth. So let us know if it's lagging either on TikTok or here on YouTube.
Trying to circumvent the algorithms.
Absolutely. Also, if you're on TikTok and you're interested in what you're going to see here this evening, we have our YouTube channel is where we do most of this. That's what we're set up for, the cameras, the lights, and everything.
Yeah.
The channel is called Smoke and Oak. On my TikTok video, there's quite a few Smoke and Oak TikToks, I guess. So
Yeah.
the logo's there. Jump on YouTube, find that page, find that channel, sorry, and hop on that because we can follow along quite a bit better with the chat.
Yeah.
On here.
Yeah, the chat thing on TikTok's a little bit. I mean, you can see
it's way up there.
It's a bit hard out of our reach, right?
Absolutely. We also just today set up a TikTok for Smoke and Oak as well.
Smoke and Oak, yeah.
To try to get more,
just to get some traffic.
A few more people involved in the community. It's pretty cool thing. So like we can see here, I'm assuming the TikTok is broken up a bit. You can't really see us on YouTube. There's a wide angle camera and stuff like that, so you can see everything a lot better.
Yeah, we're not gonna
No, I'm not. We're just
have a moment or nothing.
We'll see where this goes, and then we tried it earlier in sideways and it didn't work. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But let us know if you can hear us and so on and so forth.
Some folks on YouTube. Chad's on. Alberta Boy's on. Justin's on. Good evening. Martine's on. Actually, Martine, I was just at their place the other day and dropped off the hoodie.
Dropping off some goodies. Oh, that's the first hoodie.
Yeah.
How do you like it? Did you get it? Did you get it on or what?
Beautiful piece of paradise they got there. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just over by kind of that Bear Canyon country there.
Okay.
Just crossing the BC piece. They're technically in Alberta, but yeah, gorgeous countryside out there. So
awesome.
We stopped and we had tea. So
perfect.
Right uptown. So
it's a better video on TikTok. Okay, well, Justin's on both, I guess.
Yeah, no, it could be the camera difference. The iPhones, I got to hand it to iPhone. They do make an amazing camera, but
yeah, well, we might have to. Well, who knows? We might if we can get enough people on to follow us on TikTok. We need what 500 or something. 1,000
followers on TikTok in order to do live stream on the Smoke and Oak channel.
Okay, so yeah, if you get in here, there's 7 of them on TikTok. I see. If you're in here, we'll circle back. This is going to be kind of an off the cuff topic, anyways. We didn't do a whole bunch of notes. I'm still harvesting. We got about 100 acres left, so I didn't
do any notes.
Both ends. So we thought we could just throw this together because both Stan and I recently had posted some controversial stuff online, and we received just a tremendous amount of instant
gratification.
Well, then I just thought like, holy man, like people are quick to the keyboard. So
yeah, you wonder what else they do with their life, right? So
well,
no, I didn't take any notes. I figured, well, you know what, probably the last month. It's been a month since we did the last live stream.
Yeah, I think so. It's been a while,
right? And since then, I've just been left and right, just pissing people off on the internet. So
I know I've been watching you. I've been laughing, enjoying it.
And part of it's kind of like a fun social experiment, just to see how easily triggered some people are.
And you have to do that nowadays.
Like, that's the only way you get a reaction anymore, right? Society's become so numb to everything, right? So yeah.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, she got the hoodie. She loves it, so that's awesome. Hopefully, it's nice and warm and comfy and.
Yeah, well, I think when I was driving over here, it was like 8 degrees, so it's prime time to pull out the winter wear. Yeah, it's exciting. I think that's the first hoodie that we've given away. So,
you get much rain at your place today?
We went to town. It was raining so hard. Around noon we took off, but it rained in the morning. It must be over an inch by now.
We're at 9/10 this evening. Like I can't believe. Like in Beaver Lodge, they had almost 2 inches.
Oh yeah.
But we're just in that weird belt. I don't know why it doesn't want to rain here, but I was cursing today because it was just pouring down by the dugout and I was watering the cows, and I was like, why couldn't you have just done a little bit of this consistently throughout the summer? It would have been amazing. But
it didn't sink into me actually. In fact, that we were in a drought, if not as bad as last year.
Oh, for sure.
Slightly less worse than last year. And it didn't occur to me until we started taking the crop off. It did not rain Well, from the Fahrenheit,
Yeah.
that was the last night we had, or the night before that was the first time we had any rain in about 3 weeks.
And that was just a splash, right?
It was just we combined the next day,
Yeah.
and then we haven't had rain since
Just
until
enough
now.
to knock the bugs off.
It was amazing, and heat 30. We took grain off this year at 35 degrees. I didn't even know it got to 35 degrees in Northern Alberta.
Yeah, no, it's
And
the new norm, right?
Oh
So-
my goodness, it was been some hot.
Yeah.
So
Well, you know, and the concern too, like, I mean, you take a piece of clay and you sit it in the hot sun for, well, 2.5 years since we've really had a good wet year.
Mhm.
What is it going to do when you pour water on it?
yeah, it just
It doesn't soak up
no,
water.
it just
It becomes completely impervious.
beads right off.
Yeah. So
So,
wild. What? So tonight we're going to talk about what was it? Instantly offended.
instantly offended. So what?
Yeah.
Well, certainly what I saw
Trigger warning.
within about 15 minutes of making a post was effectively it turned into an absolute battleground of keyboard warriors. Nobody even took the time to understand what I even posted, what I was even trying to drive at. And yeah, it was probably partially could have been worded better, but to me it was like you say, a social experiment. It was amazing at how fast people could just hop on one side or the other
They get a
and explode. Like all of their rage, all their emotion came out just instantly.
It's like a feeding frenzy, like
And
sharks,
I
right? They get
was
like
like,
a
well,
taste of blood, and then they're just like,
Let's get rid of this because
Let's
that's
just cancel this fucking guy.
that's not at all. There's a lot of guys on TikTok. There's a lot of guys on YouTube. There's a lot of guys on social media that want to be provocateurs. They just want to stir shit up for the sake of stirring shit up. That's not me.
Yeah.
So I mean, I seen this thing, and boy, it just took off. Like it went the wrong way, and it went the wrong way hard and fast. And I just was like,
I don't think like that was.
let's just eliminate this altogether.
It wasn't intended to do that, though. Right?
Oh,
Like,
God,
it
no.
was maybe a lack of information initially. You made a statement based on that lack of information.
Absolutely. And even my statement didn't. Because I still got it on my phone, and I might repost it at a later date because I still actually stand by what I was saying. However, wasn't the time, and I didn't provide enough information either in what I was doing. But
Context and timing.
it was truly amazing. We were commenting that day, and I one of the reasons I didn't know how to shut the notifications off.
Yeah.
And I couldn't handle my phone dinging so much because I'm waiting for my dad, I'm waiting for my wife, I'm waiting for my mom to check combines full, trucks full, whatever. And I couldn't sort through all this shit fast enough. Like I'm not a social media guy.
Combines
really.
starting on fire.
I was like, get rid of it. Who needs this?
Yeah.
The people that get 1 million views a day or whatever, I don't know how they do it. Like,
They got
that's
to
just
have people for that. Eh?
Oh,
They got to have like
just-
social media managers.
ding, ding,
And
ding,
we're
ding,
down near
ding.
there. Like, I mean, if we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok.
Oh
we're on
yeah,
Facebook.
absolutely. Absolutely.
You just about need people for that. I see that on TikTok right now. There's lots of folks saying, "Hey, where are you from?" So, and we're kind of in the Golden Triangle. You're west of Hythe.
I'm west of Hythe.
I'm east of Hythe, but north of Beaver Lodge.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere
Northern
around there.
Alberta, Canada. So God's country, the Peace
Up here.
country.
Up
Yeah.
here in God's country.
Yeah, 20 hours of sunshine a day for about a
soon,
month.
soon to be 20,
Right.
24 hours.
Soon to
of-
be 24 hours of darkness. Yeah.
And
It'll get a lot easier to do these live streams in the wintertime when
Yeah, well,
it's
that's
cold,
That's
and
true
it's dark.
too.
And,
I know when I quite often I think like, oh man, I just want to have a scotch and a cigar now, and that's not something I would have said 2 years ago. Because
Yeah.
2 years ago I didn't drink scotch or smoke cigars,
yeah.
and I mean
Now you're
I still
civilized.
don't, but it's
You still don't.
It's who knows? We might get a few more live streams in this winter than we did last year.
It's enough though. Like I went for a checkup at the doctor's office, and he said, "Do you drink?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Okay, how much do you drink?" And then I said, and he's just like, "Oh, no, like that means you drink." "How do you smoke?" "No, I don't smoke." "Well, how much do you smoke?" And then it's, maybe one cigar every couple of weeks or maybe once a month or something like. He's like, "No, yeah, no, like you're a smoker now." Like,
Insurance has been canceled on you.
yeah, right.
You're
So
on your own.
you're not getting life insurance ever again, and no, you're done. So
Well, speaking of smoking and drinking, what are we going to drink? So, if there's anybody on TikTok, anybody on YouTube that doesn't know what we do here, we get ourselves a bottle of scotch. We get ourselves top shelf cigar.
right uptown cigar.
We
Yeah.
get ourselves a conversation of a conversation topic of something, and we go at it for about 2 hours.
What do you want to do first? Scotch or cigars?
Um,
We should do Scotch, eh?
yeah, we can. You mean for trying or for explaining?
For both.
For both.
I think because I think we learned that the cigar, the taste of the cigar, really messes with the initial
Absolutely.
flavor profile in your mouth for the Scotch, right?
So originally, when we seen the weather was coming in, it was going to rain, and we planned this live. I told Stan we should try our. We've redecorated. We got a rum over there that we haven't even opened yet, and that was our plan. So I was in town today, and the family was looking for furniture, and it happened to be beside a liquor store. So
As you do.
I dove into the liquor store, and there was this Glenlivet 15-year. So that's what we're going to do. When I was doing a little bit of research on this, I actually got more into, because everything we drink comes from Scotland. There hasn't been anything yet from somewhere else.
No,
So obviously, world renowned. That's the place for Scotch.
that's the place. Yeah.
So
Well, technically, like Scotch has protected geographic status, so you can't have Scotch from anywhere other than Scotland. In order to be classified as Scotch, it has to come from Scotland.
has to come from
So
Scotland.
there are a few imitations out there. They say Scotch style, but
and has to be made of barley.
Yeah.
So when I was looking into this, I didn't even realize this. Of course, Stan does. Stan is way more familiar with that part of the world than I am.
spent a day or two there.
There's 34 counties that make up Scotland, like provinces in Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
There are 6 whiskey growing regions. So this comes from
Whiskey distilling regions.
whiskey distilling regions.
Yeah.
This comes from Speyside. That's not the smallest, but it's just north of the Highlands. The Highlands is the biggest area. So there's the Islands, the Highlands, Speyside, Isla, Campbelltown, and then the Lowlands. So there's 6 areas that make whiskey. And we have Scotch from, I believe, maybe all of them but Campbelltown. We'll have to look.
We'll have to find some from Campbelltown. Yeah.
This is, and I'm gonna cherry pick right off the box because I just bought this today. But this is 1824 by George Smith. Was apparently it was a pretty rough area of Scotland. It was like buccaneers and bootleggers and thieves and all the horrible things,
all kinds of folks,
right? That existed around that time. But George Smith was quite an upstanding man. He got a permit and he built the first legal distillery. It has been running uninterrupted until the Second World War. They ran through the 30s. The Second World War slowed them down, but they've been running uninterrupted since 1824. It's the second most consumed Scotch in the United States, and the largest.
So first legal in Speyside or first legal in Scotland?
It seemed to be in this glen, in the Glenlivet.
Oh, in that,
right?
so that in that region.
I looked up Glen. Glen means a narrow valley. So you'll have your Glenfiddich, you'll have your Glenlivet. A lot of that basically just means, and a lot of this stuff, because Scotland's not very big. A lot of this, there's quite a few similarities.
Sure.
So where they start to differ now is their water.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
What kind of land the barley's grown on, and then what kind of casks that they finish these out in. So this what drew me to this was 15-year. There might be another 15-year up there. I don't know what that Laphroaig is 10.
Laphroaig is 10.
But most
everything's 12.
Stuff is 12.
Yeah.
And so there was actually 2 in there that intrigued me. And this is a 15-year.
Yeah.
We joke about this probably every bottle, what they tell us it's going to taste like.
Yeah.
And they do that with the cigar as well.
Yeah. Vanilla and walnuts and
they explain this
cherry
real
wood.
extravagance that I guess we're just not that high class. At least I'm not. I often don't get it.
I'm just happy if it doesn't taste like gasoline.
Exactly. So what we're going to expect here is rich, buttery, with sweet fruit aromas. That's going to be right off the nose. Then on the palate, you're going to get sweet. It's going to be incredibly smooth, fruit, nutty, and it's also going to be a dark color, like our
so does
like
that
the Dalmore.
Did that come from the casks then? That must
Be absolutely. This one didn't. Where did it say? I got them mixed up because I was reading them both that one said the cask. This one didn't. But lots of these are those sherry casks.
Yeah, yeah.
This is definitely not as dark as the Dalmore. More of a
golden color, hey?
French oak reserve.
The Dalmore is almost as red as this box.
It is,
probably
yeah.
the darkest I've ever seen.
So
that's interesting. So it's got the chart on the back of the box. You can actually see where the profile is, and it looks heavy on the spice side, hey? So
that was one thing that did pop out when I was doing the little bit of research that I did. That was, you were going to get that from the cask, and I believe that come from the. Also, it says here, Limousin oak to give a
Limousin oak. That must be right out of France.
To give a perfect nutty spiciness to the fruity Glenlivet style. So I'll pop this open and I'll get it pouring. Fumbled that pretty good.
We're not having any ice or anything like that, hey? We're just going
Scotch. Yeah, we absolutely. It's we haven't drank anything but yet. Well, no, that's a lie. The very first live we did.
We had some rum.
We had some Appleton Estate.
Yeah. And even actually today, I was telling some folks that change plans. We're not going to, because I think it was Chad was teasing us about ditch water or whatever. But I said no. Tonight we're going to have some rum. Thank you.
You betcha.
You know this? Oh yeah, sultanas and currants. It's almost like a fruit cake that's been soaked in brandy. How many fingers is that? 2.5. Okay,
it's one for every hour.
One for every hour.
Oh, that does smell. That smells good.
It's very sweet smelling.
Used to be a big Scotch guy, but I've switched to rye. Highly recommend Doc 57. We might have to.
Well, here goes nothing. It's mild.
It definitely has a lot more spice in it.
A little bit of spice, yeah. Definitely fruity.
It smells a lot like, I want to say, that Aberlour smells, which is also a
yeah, I would say that too. It was funny. I was talking with a guy. You maybe know this guy. He said he didn't like Speyside whiskeys.
Okay.
Because they taste like they're too salty.
Okay.
And some of the other stuff kind of tastes more like it was set on fire in a muskeg.
Well, that is I would say quite similar to several of the other ones that we've had.
Yeah. The warmth comes in later. Hey, it doesn't
does.
set you on fire.
No.
Doesn't burn down the tongue. The warmth kind of gathers in the back of the throat. No, I would say that's an excellent whiskey. Oh, yeah, that's good stuff.
And it's really amazing. We looking at how the color changes as well, as far as the casket was in, the age of it, and even where it was produced. Like the Glenfiddich is quite a clear.
It's very pale, yeah.
And I mean, really, the bottle is the only thing that really gives it
the green bottle
gives it its color at all. And then you get into something like the Dalmore.
The other one, that Leg of Yulin 8, that was another one that was.
And the Highland was quite
very clear. The Highland was
dark,
yellowish, wasn't it? Yeah.
But interesting.
The Dalmore's got that.
We are learning about our Scotches
red
for
color.
sure.
So, that's good. Are we going to do a giveaway tonight?
Oh yes, we got to do one every night. Where do we farm? We farm up in northern Alberta. So we are at Stan's place. Stan farms right here.
Yeah, this is home.
And I farm, 10 miles west.
Just up the road, yeah.
Maybe, could be more than 10 miles, maybe 12 miles. Not very far.
You'd never tell from what you see in the backdrop, but this is actually basically a glorified tractor shed.
I don't know. It's pretty shop.
I mean, I know it's nice. It's nice, but you know, it certainly doesn't. The rest of it doesn't look like this. You know?
No. This all. I don't even. We'll have to do maybe. We'll have to explain the brainchild of this one
do a
day.
shop tour one day.
Yeah, this kind of all
just finish here. Well, we started off. We started off down in front of the tractor with ball caps and jeans and hoodies, and tried to solve the world's problems.
Absolutely, Peace River region.
Peace River region. Yeah,
a little bit south.
Just up the road from us. Yeah.
So yeah, if you're so as we said before, if you're watching on TikTok and you're interested at all in what you're seeing right here, we started this all on YouTube and we kind of geared up for YouTube, I suppose.
Yeah.
Everything is set up over on YouTube. The channel name is called Smoke and Oak. It's got a pretty cool logo. And if you want to get involved in this conversation, I would definitely encourage you to jump over to YouTube and find that channel, subscribe to it. I think there's about 60 subscribers right now. And then hop on. We can follow the chat a lot better than we can on TikTok.
That's right. Because it's just right here.
It's right down here, and we can go from there.
Yeah.
Also, Stan mentioned a giveaway, so we do that every live stream. As
yeah, I got to tell you about that later.
Did you ruin that?
The band? No, that's actually a thing, but we'll get to that later.
Okay. So we're doing the cups. Okay.
Yeah. So if you did jump onto our YouTube channel and you leave us a comment, we'll enter your name into a draw for one of these custom Smoke and Oak whiskey glasses or custom coffee cup.
And there are still a few hoodies left as well.
Some hoodies as well. Awesome.
There was one, and the one it was here.
There was one here, and I took that to Marty the other day. So
there's.
Yeah. So drop us a comment, say hi. Love to hear from you.
Yeah, that's that'll be on the YouTube side.
As Robin mentioned too, he started a TikTok for Smoke and Oak. Just today, right? Just today,
yeah.
So you want to check that one out. There'll be more content. It won't, of course, be live for a little while until we get like 1,000 people on board there. But
yeah,
regardless, it'll still be a good time. So
yeah, we're gonna throw some stuff up on there.
Kick some tables over and
yeah.
But cigars, that's the other half of what we do. We don't just drink whiskey. We have a good cigar, put on our fancy duds, try to change the world, have some good discussion. So today we're going to enjoy an Arturo Fuente Curly Head. So it is a 6.5 by 43 ring gauge, so considerably smaller in terms of girth than some of the cigars we've had. I'll never forget that 70 ring gauge Texas Lancero. That was a labor to get through that, I tell you. But so this one shouldn't be nearly as bad. This is a Lonsdale shape, which I thought was kind of an interesting title. I'd never heard of a Lonsdale before. And so where I'm from in the UK is actually the area that is ruled by the Earls of Lonsdale.
Okay.
Yeah, and they owned Lowther Castle and its estates, but they were never very good with money, and so they ended up actually piecemealing the estate off and the castle there. They even sold all the lead off of its roof and sold all the silverware until the castle basically, it's beautiful from the outside. It's a gorgeous landmark, but once you see, it's absolutely gutted, right? So
that's too bad.
Just a shame, right? So we'll be enjoying a Lonsdale cigar this evening. So Arturo Fuente actually started in 1912, and he was hand rolling cigars in the kind of the back room of his house with his wife and their 2 boys. And now it's 4 generations later. So they just in 2012 they celebrated 100 years, obviously, right? So it's been around a day or two. This one in particular is supposed to be a pretty smooth, mild cigar with a lightly spicy profile. It has a Cameroon filler with a Dominican binder and filler. So we expect that this one should burn very, very evenly for about an hour and a half.
Okay.
So we may not get through the whole show with these. We'll see where this goes. But I do, as told you before, we got some dessert cigars there as well that we can enjoy.
Excellent.
And you notice the band. I've been kind of playing with the band here a little bit. So when these are made, they're made without the band. They don't come with the band. This is when they get shipped to Canada. in order to label them, they just put this dirty green
Huh.
piece of, very unflattering label on there. So, but that's how it's meant to be. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess this must be the first one we've smoked that has been bandless.
it's the first bandless one, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that adds quite a bit of pizzazz.
Well,
to the
it does.
cigar.
It's
Like, that's the character
The
of the
artwork
cigar.
brings the character to the cigar, exactly. Yeah. So,
Interesting.
so
I'm excited.
now they're supposed to have a really good draw as well, and they are very consistent apparently. So.
Well, it doesn't feel very tight. I also notice it's finished at the front, eh? It's all tucked around.
It's all kind of tucked in, yeah. That's kind of
So-
interesting. You don't have to cut too much off. The draw seems pretty good. What we got for comments here? We missed a whole bunch. Everybody's introducing themselves, so that's
Mhm.
fantastic. We're all going to be dear friends at the end of this. That's good. Get to know each other because we're all going to talk about being instantly offended and how to be nice on the internet, right? So
Hopefully, nobody here this evening gets offended. That's not the intent of people. Like I say, there are a lot of provocateurs on social media, and that's unfortunate. But the general content that you see, if you take a minute to look, or even just leave a unbiased comment and ask a question like, "What are you driving at here?" I think you'd be surprised how often you'd find some similarities in thought and maybe even agree with what they said.
yeah, really mild. You're going to go for Big Hoss?
I'm gonna go. Well, we have all sorts of gear too. Stan's got us 2 different cutters. Of course, he had to get that one. We had 2 70 ring gauge cigars in past live
Yeah, I had
streams.
to get this. What was this one? I think this is like an 85 ring gauge. It's meant for.
I can't remember the name of the other. The one you said was the Texas Lancero. We had another 70 ring gauge that was.
That's right, too. What was that one?
If
It was an Alec Bradley Texas Lancero, and then there was one more. But I'll be doggone if I can remember what it was.
so, what
I
did
think
they?
this is going to be a terrible cigar.
Well, what did they have down? Hints of leather and earth and.
No, it was very, very kind of vanilla, right? And I mean that like generic, right? Sweet and spicy profile, smooth and mild. Like, I don't think we're going to change anybody's world with this one. The other thing I found was it was basically identified as a Cuban lunch, right? So you could smoke this midday, and you're not gonna,
Okay.
it's you're not gonna burn your tongue off or get a gut ache or get a headache or anything crazy with this. It's going to be fairly mild, fairly non-offensive.
You know what I find is it has a creamy smoke of that
It is creamy, yeah.
that try what's that thing called? Tri wrap.
The Tri-Wrap.
Your favorite
yeah.
cigar?
I can still feel the bitterness on the side of my tongue from that. That was an Alec Bradley too, wasn't
It
it?
was, yeah. That was
Yeah.
their gimmick cigar. It was
Yeah.
a good cigar though. This has quite a pleasant smell, even unlit. So I find myself
That's
a lot
what
of these cigars smell just not so great.
That's what I mean. This thing's got to be awful because it doesn't smell like a glove box of a green pack. So that's kind of the gold standard, right?
It is.
So. What do we got here? Kristen says my absolute fave when driving up here is when the canola fields are full bloom. For as far as you can see, you're just seeing all the different contrast of plantings in the field. Absolutely love it. Yeah, you really can't beat it when the whole horizon's just yellow. Hey?
No.
Yeah.
No, there's a couple times where you really enjoy living up here in the Peace Country. Only a couple, and then the rest is a struggle. You just fight for every inch.
Yeah. Glenn Gillis is on. Good evening, gents. Well, good evening, Glenn. I apologize. I lied to you earlier because I told you we were going to have a glass of rum. Robin decided to mix that up on me, and
Yeah,
we're back to Scotch.
I was shopping, so
Mhm.
you can't.
That is a really good. It's very festive. Like if I was sitting around Christmas time, you know, and not enjoying somebody's company, and I had to step out and just
For an hour and a half.
have a moment. That would be a good scotch to have. You know?
Oh, for the scotch, yeah. Amen for the cigar. No, they are. Nothing has been too horrible. So that the two that we had that had bad reviews, it was the Tri-Wrap cigar and the Highland.
And the Highland Park, we kind of threw them
And
together.
we paired them up, and I thought,
Yeah.
Justin's got cigars from the States. I think Justin is one who has a cigar. So.
Oh, good. Yeah. No, if you're
He joins us, and he has
if you're
a cigar.
joining us this evening and you're wondering what to do with yourself, if you've got a cigar, go dig it out. Hopefully, it's not in the freezer.
Yeah, boy, did we learn a lot about cigars too. So if you're new in here, we have we do have a humidor, so the stuff is looked after.
Yeah, there's no nothing's kept in the freezer, nothing's kept in the cupboard.
And since some people don't know where you live, it is quite well stocked. So
Yeah. Well, it's not like we're downtown in the city, right? So you want to stock up.
but that is a good cigar. Fast burning.
But evenly burning.
Evenly,
Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna see. I'm not gonna ash this one. I'm just gonna see where it goes. See if we can
So-
get a big old.
Falls on the chair.
Yeah, it'll end up in my lap, and I'll have to go to the dry cleaners again and
Such is life.
try and explain that. But whatever. So instantly offended. So what's the back? So you had some grief. I had some grief. I don't know. We bought a new vehicle, and that's where that got me kicked off because
You got a ton of trash on that.
the green monster came to bear on that one for sure. Hey, like
And that
It
really
was-
confused me. I
it was
thought about
supposed to
that.
be. It was supposed to be lighthearted. You know, it was supposed to be just a joke.
Well, it's funny where we're at as a society of people now. Because I was thinking after I watched that, and then I watched it over again, and I got my laughs out of it, and I left my comment, and I thought, can none of these people be like, "Oh, right on, man! Congratulations on the new car"?
Yeah,
There's
right.
no instantly pissed off.
That's right. Yeah. So the folks,
About what? They don't even know you.
no, they have no idea. They have no idea.
The comments too made me laugh. I was like, if only you knew this guy.
And if you can't tell
Right.
from my face that I'm not being serious, like I don't know. So for the folks at home that don't know what this video is, I put out a 10-second TikTok. I think I said, what was it? If your wife's not driving a $100,000 SUV with farm plates, are you even a farmer?
Yeah.
And it's just whatever. It's just funny. It's not meant to be a thing. It's not meant to be a brag. It's not meant to be a.
Yeah, not pretentious,
It's
not
not
anything.
it's not a flex. It's just a joke, right? It's just be haha and just move on with your day. And it was funny because that got so much attention. It's got like 130,000 views on TikTok and almost as many negative comments. So then somebody suggested that I missed the mark. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go the opposite. And they said, well, if you're not driving a 1994 broke down piece of shit that's more haywire than gas mileage, are you even a farmer? And that got like 2,000 views. Like it just didn't get the traction. Nobody was like, fuck this guy, right? Like
Nothing
no
to be,
reaction.
nothing
No
to be
reaction.
offended about.
Because they couldn't jump all over a guy, right? There was no place to go with that one.
Yeah.
You have to wonder, eh? Like why is the world that way? Why is it that we're so quick to just hate on people?
Well, it really got me thinking. Like, what's the point? I mean, you don't know the guy. He's got a new car. Lots of people have new cars. You could say something nice, like, "Oh, sweet car," or
Yeah,
whatever.
or whatever,
But
right?
but we don't live in that world anymore. We live in a world where, it's say something mean or bust.
Well, and even the follow-ups came after that because it was all about the farm plates after that, right? And then it was all about government handouts and so many people jumping on like government handouts. And I don't know if that's the case in the States, if they're just getting grants left, right? They're heavily subsidized. Maybe they are.
Oh, there's
like
a definite line, right, where farmers are treated different south of than they are north of. However, they aren't treated that bad north of it either. I mean, there are I mean, arguably leased land for cattle is the largest subsidy that
For
people
sure.
don't talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's that's undeniable. There are tremendous programs. It used to be called Rope in the Web. Now it's called something else, where there are a lot of grants. However, a lot of these things, when you crawl down these rabbit holes, they mean nothing.
Yeah.
And effectively, all they do is stir up this division from the urban consumer and the rural producer to hate each other. But they're not.
But
There's so much untruth and misinformation
yeah,
between what you're getting out of these perks.
yeah, the consumer hates the farmer because he thinks that he's paying $48 for a piece of meat in the grocery store, and the farmer's just sitting high on his hog eating caviar. And
I just had that conversation with the furniture salesman in downtown,
yeah,
and he agreed too. He said it's amazing how angry we are at one another and how uninformed we are on both sides of what everyone's going through.
no, that's the thing.
I
Reality.
thought, well, the best way to solve that is to fight, right?
Yeah,
and,
why not?
And to
right?
say to be offended all the time and be mean to each other. That's the best way through this whole thing.
100%. Just come to the table, full offensive, and just be a complete dick.
Be ready to say anything that will draw a tear from the eye.
Well, that's a societal issue too, right? Very rarely do people come to the table and let's evaluate a problem. No, it's I'm right or you're right.
Yeah.
It's never about it's always about somebody's right and somebody's wrong. And it's never about actually solving the issue.
No.
So
no, it's a tremendous power struggle all the time.
Very, very few people actually will come to it and be able to de-escalate that. The natural human reaction when somebody comes at you at 100 miles an hour is to just brace yourself, right? And just come to a complete impasse, right? An immovable object meets an unstoppable force.
Yeah, just a shield like you've never deployed before.
Mm-hmm.
But we've also given this a lot of traction. This, and when I said earlier about the social media, whatever you want to call them, influencers, producers, the ones that are strictly provocateurs, they have the most following. Like these awful opinions are gaining tremendous traction, and they have all these disciples running out doing their bidding for them. The one is just. There's no way he'll get wind of this, and I don't care if he does. But that Calgary mayor, that guy, I watched him like 6 months ago, and I was like, this guy's got some pretty legit stuff going on here. Like, not everything out of this guy's mouth is trash. He's gone totally off the fucking rails lately. And it's when he started his grifting and gaining popularity and gaining momentum.
Yeah,
the insanity followed suit.
Insanity, yeah. It's like he corrupted the man, right?
Terrible. Like he just couldn't handle the power.
He legitimately made, although they are skewed in one political direction, he made some legitimate points. He challenged some politicians. He challenged them on the actions that they took. Perfectly reasonable.
Absolutely.
But now he's just it's theatrical, right? So I got into it with him actually last week. I made a video calling him out because he was beaking off about the Queen, and so having come from the UK, I'm pretty fond of the monarchy, and I think they're still make some mistakes, and they still have a lot of flaws, some of which are quite abhorrent. And Prince Andrew is a good example of that, right? Like, he should just be flushed down the toilet. But nevertheless, I think that the monarchy does serve to give people something to strive towards, right? If you want to better yourself, you kind of need to see what the next thing looks like, right? So if we all wear the same orange jumpsuit every day, and we all eat the same porridge every day, and we all drink the same dirty water every day, it's really hard to say, okay, well, if I do this, then I can accomplish the next thing. So the monarchy, outside of their immediate royal duties, does serve, to inspire people to try and do better in their life, to kind of crawl their way out of poverty and peasantry, right? Whether you agree with them or not, to me that's the point they serve. And at the end of the day, an old woman died.
Yeah, that's
You
well, and
know?
that's just it, right? You should be able to leave well enough
We
alone.
should be able to leave with that, right? Just let it be.
However, on that note, drives down to my nonsensical TikTok
Am I going to get offended?
of
I'm just kidding.
of total lack of information, right? So mine and what kind of kicked this off a little bit was
Well, this is the Saskatchewan.
the Saskatchewan thing. So I truly think that if you are going to involve, whatever it would be, I don't know the number, a quarter of the population of your country in an event, any event, you deserve to give that population all the facts.
Or at least some.
All the facts. If you're going to disrupt people's daily lives and get them involved in the duties of the country, those people deserve to know what they're getting involved in. What the people of Alberta got was a bullshit beep on their phone with the most vague of information. Is what they got.
Somewhere in Western Canada, there's two dangerous individuals.
If you wanted any more information, it was like a game on an app where you can play for 2 seconds and then everything starts unless you start paying money. That's what the Alberta alert was. The most vague information. If you wanted to know more, you had to start digging. In fact, the shit on that alert wasn't even clickable. The spot where it said for more information, because I clicked on it.
It went nowhere.
Yeah. And there was one where it looked like a person with the speaking thing. So I thought maybe if you clicked on that, they would tell you more, go right to the news. Nothing.
No, that was for deaf people.
Okay.
So they could not tell things to deaf people as well.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well, anyways, it irritated me enough to make a TikTok saying this is ridiculous. This is dumb. Yeah. This shouldn't be happening. At that time, the alert went out. They already knew the extent of what happened.
The RCMP knew, yeah.
The RCMP knew, and a tremendous amount of the population of Saskatchewan knew. Who didn't know was the people in Alberta or the people in Manitoba. You don't send a quarter of your population out looking for a potentially dangerous person who has already murdered. That's not a potentially dangerous person. And I watched my own video back several times, and I said that. I said a potentially dangerous person. They've alerted 2 million square kilometers of the country.
Yeah.
Like roughly, I'm assuming like a quarter of the country into this, telling us.
Probably not, because
well, I guess not.
Toronto's like 80%.
A quarter of the size of the country or whatever. A very large area was alerted to what was happening with no information. Who sends out that knowing full well what had happened? Yeah. I didn't know anything until I made that TikTok, and then I read the comments, and I got 7,000 views in about 4 minutes.
You got educated right away
instantly, and I couldn't respond fast enough. I was like, "Hey, I get it," yeah. But that's not what I was driving at. I'm not taking anything away from what happened. What I'm trying to gear into here, and that's why I did the green screen behind me, is this fucking says nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
how come TikTok can educate you quicker than
I didn't know any of this. I didn't know any of it until my 8-second TikTok and a just fucking assault of comments just hurling in information. Yeah. And I thought, like,
just internet violence.
Well, I mean, not even that. There was a few people that were, that were more harsh and critical than others. I don't mean assault as like, oh. It just like it was an actual assault on the TikTok on the channel. And then the unfortunate thing about this is you got some people on the far left, you got some people on the far right. Now in the comment section, the infighting starts. You've created a battleground
of
12-year-olds against 46-year-olds against 14-year-olds, and none of what anybody's saying is benefiting anybody. We're going down a whole rabbit hole of. And I don't want that anywhere near me. What I was trying to get at had really nothing to do with the situation. It didn't have anything to do with the situation. It had everything to do with the alert and how the alert did not say that 10 people unfortunately had lost their lives.
It was more about, hey, let's communicate.
Right? Like this is not good when you are alerting people in northern Alberta. Like as the crow flies, it's like 14-hour drive.
Yeah. You
have no idea which way these, and you didn't actually tell us that they were really dangerous, Because let's be honest, stabbings happen all the time. The alert said stabbing.
Just go to Grand Prairie.
They've been involved in a couple of stabbings.
Yeah.
That's not what happened.
No, this was mass murder.
Right? Then from where I sit, if you're going to involve 3 provinces, you deserve to tell those 3 provinces these people are very dangerous.
Just heads up.
And the whole thing, they didn't put out anything about them.
Yeah.
You didn't know their race unless you looked into it. You didn't know if this was targeted. You didn't know if this was random, if it was a Bonnie and Clyde thing and they're cruising across the country.
Yeah.
There was nothing in there. You had to dig and find all of that.
Yeah.
And it was amazing how, instantly offended everybody got. And there was quite a few that were, specific to, show some compassion.
Sure.
This is brutal. And I was saying, like, we don't even know. What the hell am I going to? I didn't know. Nobody in Alberta knew unless you. And then someone even said, "Don't be such a dick." Some people don't have TV. They use social media or their phones to get their information. And I thought, you're looking at this guy, and I don't have the information. I don't know. Yeah. I've learned more in 15 minutes from this dumb TikTok than I did in the last 24 hours waiting for the provincial government to let me know where these people are or what's even going on.
Right. Yeah.
But very few people took the time to probably watch it all the way through. And I didn't do a very good job, I'll admit that, of articulating my piece. And then that small minority of people that got in there, I guess maybe defending me, and I was just like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that small minority of people that offend you, because quite often they maybe have different principles that don't align with your own.
Yeah, and then I thought, you know what, let's just shut this down. He's actually, Justin, he's like, oh, they took your TikTok down. I said, no, I took it down.
Yeah, just
like I don't want. This is not what I'm. This is not what I want. I don't want any of this.
What's strange though is like with TikTok, because recently I've seen a few things like glorifying Adolf Hitler, talking about like race purity and things like that, and it's worded really cunningly, but if you have a head on your shoulders at all, you can see it exactly for what it is. And so you just report it. Like, you don't get into it with these people. You don't get offended. You just know, I can see what this is. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's propagating, racism. So shut this down. Glorifying the Holocaust, things like that. Shut that down. And strangely enough, even TikTok can't. Like, they reviewed a few of them and they're just like, no violations here.
Huh.
Wild. Like, absolutely wild, right? Why aren't people angry about that? Why aren't people angry about things that matter?
Well, and that's just it. We seem to be, we're a product of the now. So we're really concerned about what's happening right now. Not really that concerned about what happened yesterday or even tomorrow.
When did that start? Like, I mean, I remember, like, was it 2018 they shot that gorilla? Must have been. Yeah, Harambe. That's really what kicked off. Well, even probably before that, I think it was 2015 where somebody shot that lion.
Okay.
They shot the lion on the hunt and then posted a picture on the internet. And I think that was the first one I remember where the internet just like went to town on somebody because they went trophy hunting for a lion. And she posed for a picture or whatever.
I think I remember that.
And then they shot the gorilla. And ever since then, it's been just been crazy, right? So. Yeah, it's too easy. It's too easy to hide behind the keyboard and be just absolutely outraged. It's too easy to send a text or even if you read somebody's comment on the internet, there's very few people that are capable of imbuing context within their words. Like if I'm to write something down and you're to read it, you might understand the verbiage that I've applied, but you maybe don't understand the context which I'm applying it.
Yeah.
Right. So you send a text, you send a Facebook message, you send a thing on TikTok or whatever. And it's almost like people are expecting conflict because they just get like so anxious and up like tight, and they get so angry about stuff. Quite often, a lot of those comments are actually meant quite innocently, such as yours, just looking for information.
Yeah.
right? And maybe
that's a very good point.
maybe
Like,
we need to do a better job of asking questions.
Yeah, that's very true. I definitely I watched it back several times, and I mean I could see the faults in it too. One of the shortcomings of being new on social media like TikToks and things is you're gonna make those mistakes for sure. But
Well, I mean, yeah, TikTok is a really good example because it's well, and YouTube too, because they're built by a different generation, so their expectations are different. Their communication styles are different. They're a little bit more aware of certain things, right? You know, we call it the woke culture,
woke, yeah,
right? I generally think of that as solving problems that don't exist, but
yeah, for sure.
you know, you know, and that's the thing is so we don't have problems. Really, we don't have, and I've said this before, and well, you've said the same thing too. We don't have problems in modern society.
No,
Not in what we would call the developed nations. We don't have real problems. So it's just, well, we have to have a problem because that's what the brain needs to do. The brain needs to solve problems. If we don't have a problem, then we have to make a problem out of thin air. That's why infomercials are so successful at 2 o'clock in the morning because they solve problems. You see that klutzy woman with the Tupperware or the guy that chops his finger off trying to cut vegetables. Oh, you need this. You need the slap chop or whatever.
exactly, because I can't function without
Because I'm completely handicapped without this thing. You're solving problems that don't exist, and then that's exactly what we see with all these other things that nobody's been offended over, never been a problem before. Now it has to be a problem.
Well, nobody can be really happy to sit down with with an older generation and sort of be looked at like you have it so easy. So like you say, we have to drum up our own situations, that our own impediments of why we're not doing more. And when there's nothing left, you start to make these artificial, nonsensical situations that need attention that shouldn't even exist.
It's really hard to go stand beside your grandpa and tell him how fucking hard your day was.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, my dad and I were talking about that the other day because somebody was asking on my YouTube channel. They said, "Well, how did you guys end up in the north?" And so I asked him. I said, "Well, why did my grandpa end up in the north?" Well, my grandpa was born in 1902, and he come here in 1927. I think he had like $8 in his pocket, and they think they landed, I don't know, Newfoundland or something. There was a port, and then they hopped on a train and spent days getting across the country to Edmonton, I believe, is where the train stopped.
Yeah.
And then I think they walked. Maybe it made it to Wembley by then in 1927. Imagine? And then they walked. So he walked. He built a shack. They kind of promised them that there was work. I guess they did have pamphlets in the old country that said like. Because my dad said he thought they could go to South Africa, South America, or Canada.
Yeah.
He chose Canada. So it wasn't really exactly what they promised. There wasn't actually a lot of work. You know what? Because when he got here, he homesteaded. What does it mean when you homestead? It means there's a lot of vacant land, which means there's not a lot of generational farmers to hire you.
That's right.
There was no work.
There's no work.
You built the country.
Carving it out.
If they sent you up here with a hoe and said, if you can prove up 10 acres within 365 days, you can have a quarter of land. So they started proving up land, built a shack, couldn't make it, worked down south in a coal mine because that's what he did in Germany. Come back, he had brought 3 suits. I guess my auntie told my dad.
Yeah.
He brought 3 suits when he come. He said, they were proud in Germany. They took a photograph before they got on the boat and brought their stuff. So somebody burnt him out. Anyways, it burnt down, and then so he started his life over again with now nothing. And so now I'm born in a modern hospital with 2 vehicles in the family, parents together. Nobody had to flee famine or civil war or civil unrest. So what? I mean, how are you going to tell anybody life is hard, right?
Talk about first world problems.
If we needed more heat, we just do this. Yeah. Right?
And
then sit back on the Chesterfield.
Yeah.
You don't have to go.
That's what you should do with your outrage. Is just look at it and be like, "Oh,
I'm from Canada." Oh yeah, we're from Canada too. We're up here in northern Alberta.
Yeah, where are you from in Canada? We'd love to hear.
You missed a pile
of questions on the YouTube side too. So Glenn said, "Guess after chasing sheep and dusty harvest time, you guys need something to drink." Yeah, Absolutely, we do.
Oh, the dust. Edmonton.
Fred said, people seem to be addicted to conflict. I don't understand it, but it's the world we live in now. Kristen said, most people have no problem saying things on social media, but they wouldn't take the time and energy to voice their offense to your face. Some people maybe, but not everyone. Too easy on the computer. Yeah, it's kind of the context. Like, it's really, really easy to say it over the computer because nobody can smack you in the mouth for it.
I wonder though,
You
the people that are saying when they leave the keyboard, I wonder how they go about their day, because it bothers me. I don't comment a lot.
I think with a disgusting satisfaction, because that's really their day is brightened by eliminating the light of others.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I fucking showed that guy.
I leave with a pit in my stomach, thinking like, oh man.
Oh, I'm
Right?
I'm the same way.
I
Like, I
don't
don't feel good about it.
I don't
You
know
get
how
that
this
kind of comment.
went,
Yeah.
and that's why I don't do a lot of it. I mean, I don't. Aside from my YouTube channel and the odd funny TikTok that I try to make, I don't do a lot, and I don't actually do a lot of commenting on YouTube's or TikTok or whatever. I sort of just, I'm one of the ones who, like everybody, you don't like it, keep going, right?
Yeah.
You keep scrolling. Very easy to do.
Yeah, that's right. It's really, really easy to do.
There's
Not my cup of tea. Carry on with the day.
I would hate to guess how many millions or billions of videos are on TikTok and YouTube. You don't like it, carry on.
Yeah.
Carry on. And as long as it's, not illegal, unethical, or immoral, I guess is really just carry on, right?
Yeah, no, well, like Discord is a huge trend now, right? Like just basically sowing the seeds of discontentment everywhere you go. That's how people manage to get they eke their way through their miserable fucking lives, is by making other people miserable.
It seems, that seems almost biblical as revelations, and this is going to start the demise of society as we know it, as we descend into chaos. Howdy there. We haven't addressed TikTok here for a while. So this is our first night doing the TikTok side of this. If you're interested at all in what we're doing, and if you just hopped in here, we do these, I don't know, once every week or every few weeks in the summer.
Weeks, yeah.
Probably more in the winter. Get ourselves a scotch, get ourselves a nice cigar, and we sit down. We pick a topic. We post that out usually on our channels or YouTube channels, and talk about something. If you are interested on this and you're on the TikTok side, everything we do when we started this was on YouTube. So our YouTube channel called Smoke and Oak. If you want to hop over there and join the conversation, we even give
swag away.
We give away some swag. This is a salary guy. He's been on a couple of my other lives that I've done on the farm.
Kootenai Saddlery?
Yeah, he's a stand-up guy.
Hey. Well, good evening.
So yeah, if you hop onto our YouTube channel, subscribe to that, and leave some comments on that side. Every live stream, we either give away your choice on one of these Smoke and Oak whiskey glasses or a Smoke and Oak coffee mug if you're not a whiskey guy. And we did have a couple of hoodies. We gave one away last live. We don't have one to show, but you get your choice of that.
Super comfy, nice and warm.
So and all you have to do on that is to do it on the YouTube side. Jump into the comments over there. Leave us a comment, and then we'll enter your name, and then we'll reach out to you.
Yeah.
So
how's the cigar so far?
It's slowed down in that first third.
Yeah. That's what I found too. It's kind of tight. The draw is tightened up a little bit.
It's definitely taken a bit more. Flavor profile hasn't changed, I don't think.
Yeah.
I was going to say I haven't had to relight this yet. But
very consistent flavor. But look at that burn. Like, I mean, you could put a level on that thing. Like, that is just straight as an arrow.
Yeah, you did a good job.
I was expecting there was going to be like a big, like, flaccid, curl down that was going to drop on my trousers. But no, this is really holding in there. Wondering if you're getting ready to do some fall work.
Oh yeah, we are. And then this says he's getting nailed to the boards. Who's getting nailed to the boards? Not us. Who's that guy? I can't see them. We still have 100 acres left to combine, and then we're going to go ahead and get the disc and the cultivators out. Believe it or not, they actually told us they can't get anhydrous again. So I don't know how the hell.
That's a real problem.
How embarrassing for Northern Alberta.
Justin just hopped over here because he wanted to enter the draw.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Smart man, smart man. Justin hasn't won before, right?
Justin hasn't won.
Oh man.
But he
That's
has.
the thing.
He's
Never-
missed quite a few.
You're
though.
never gonna win if you don't play the game,
No.
right? So, yeah, he's probably been busy too, hey?
He's got a hat though. He's not.
Oh yeah,
He's not totally out of it.
oh good,
So.
good. Yeah,
But
oh good. And the whiskey, how's the whiskey treating you?
I really like that.
I do too. This is I'm quite fond of it.
I'm not sure what's setting it apart now from the other ones. So as we said, this I think this is our first 15 year that we've opened. Everything else has been 12. We had some 8s and some 10s.
For me, it's just the fact that I mean, you can not to sound perverse, but you can take it in your mouth, and there's nothing offensive in them. There's no bite. There's no bark, and there's just warmth on the back of your throat. Like it's
Well,
very smooth.
I was going to say
Wow.
that's because you're through your first half of it, but right off the bat, like you say, it wasn't like that. A lot of scotch, a lot
Yeah,
of hard
no.
alcohol. If you try to drink it straight without ice, without
And
water,
if you go too quick,
you
it
just
can really,
it burns your throat,
can burn you.
waters
Yeah.
your eyes.
or pepper the hell out of the front of your tongue. But this is very smooth, very consistent. I think it's a really good pairing between the cigar and the scotch.
I'm still getting that retrohale down, but you really get your extra notes out of the cigar when you do that. If you
Yeah,
don't
you do.
blow your nose off your face.
Well, and I think if you had a more like a medium to full-bodied cigar and you tried to do that, you'd end up getting stuffed up, right?
So I just stepped out on a 2,300 acre lease. Any tips?
Oh,
Just stepped out. Like you just leased it?
I don't know if you did, boy, oh boy.
Yeah, congratulations if you got that sold.
Be interested to know is that cattle land or is that green land?
I was checking out his TikTok. I think he's just picked it up. Well, congratulations.
Yeah,
You should
good
get
for
yourself a drink.
That's awesome.
And
Raise one.
We'll give you a cheers for that. That's awesome. Is that so? That's going to be a cattle lease, then I assume, because you are down south, are you not? I didn't get two beauties right here, scotch and cigars all the way. How's harvest going? Harvest, yeah, 100 acres. You were combining for the in-laws. How much you guys are done?
Yeah, we did 600, well, just over 600 acres.
And you got that all done before the rain?
That's all done before the rain. So nothing some blown bearings, blown belts, and one little electrical fire wouldn't solve for us. But
Cropland added onto the cattle operation. That is massive.
that's boy, oh boy. Well, I mean, you might as well lease a new combine too while you're at it.
Yeah, that's any tips? I'm not too sure. I think you are, like I said, you are down south, right? So I'm not. I gotta say, you probably could get away with a lot of things down south if you're
That's tough because the ground conditions are different there. The
If you
weather
wanna-
conditions are different down
Edmonton
there.
area. Jeez, that's crazy.
Well, it's not that
No,
far
that's,
away.
that's scooping up 2,300 acres.
I was seeing
right there.
Kootenay and I was thinking it would be way down. south.
Yeah, I thought it was too. That was I guess deceiving.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Oh, the big dog's barking. Maybe he's bringing home some coyotes.
maybe tired of the rain. Maybe.
Tired, yeah. I was like, get this out of here. Hasn't seen rain since Canada Day. Doesn't know what to do with it. Yeah,
Any tips? Yeah, I don't know. We grow 5 crops. We keep that in rotation. I wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. They can get away with a lot different
yeah,
things. like you say,
2,300
than
acres
we
is a
can.
lot. It's a lot of land. You probably don't want to put that all into canola. That's
No,
a $2 billion crop right there. Oh, Justin's wondering if we got Starlink yet. We didn't get Starlink.
no, I haven't.
Did
either.
you order some or
No, I didn't get any.
Yeah, I looked at it, but it was $800 to get set up, and I could maybe justify that, but I certainly couldn't justify it to my wife. So
Yeah, that's just it. We don't. It was funny. I was doing one of the lives I did on the Swather, and somebody asked me like, "Have you seen some show on Netflix?" I don't know what it was, and I was like, "You might not believe this, but we haven't turned our TV on in like 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Like we don't, we
Well,
haven't,
why
we
would-
haven't even sat in our living room
Why would you at harvest time, right?
because and with as brutal as it was, like I was telling like the last few people that came from molasses and feed and stuff, I said I get into my shower and it comes, the dirt coming out of my eyes and my ears and my nose,
Yeah.
my hair. It looks like I'm standing in a puddle of mud.
Yeah.
It's so by the time even if the harvest work, the chores aren't fatiguing, standing in that fucking wind
Yeah.
and that dust, it's just it blows right through you. And at the end of the day, you can't
100%.
even swallow. Your tongue is dry, your eyes are dry, your nose is dry, you're itchy, you're hot. It was
Yeah.
like 35 degrees. I just wanted to have a decently, mildly warm shower and then go to bed.
That's what I couldn't get over because I was driving Scott Hodges combine, and all like in the air conditioning, it's beautiful. It's all sealed up. It's nice. I'm living the dream, right? Got my Coca-Cola. End of the day, I go to hop out of that thing into a 40-mile-an-hour wind, and it blows all that chaff into my face, down my shirt, into my shorts. I'm just like all the good things that happened throughout that day just got ruined. Like it's just not a good day.
Well, did they get done too then, or what? Scotty boy, he
I believe Scott was done before.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I mean he might have had some stuff that wasn't ready yet that got deferred or whatever. Similar to you,
some
right?
of the some of the canola just wasn't even ready
It's
yet.
not ready, right? So I don't know what's the secret that is there anything you can do to that stuff to get it already ready? Like can you desiccate it or anything like that?
No, not. It's year to year, not really. I mean, you go to Grand Prairie, another standing canola all over the place. Just wasn't ready. So there you
it
go.
is. Oh, that was hot.
Now you've created an issue. See, I didn't do that. For everybody that's watching, I was a lot more refined. But that was one that you should save
Pretty good.
that.
Oh, it's gone. What a mess. Just throw that right on the computer. Don't worry.
Easier to ask the wife for forgiveness
Nothing
than
to see
permission.
here.
Yeah, you are. You're right on that. However,
There you go. Good 2 inches of ash head before gravity decided to do what gravity does. So I'm gonna need an air duster now. Justin says that was epic. Yeah, it was fucking hot too. Not gonna lie.
it's a good thing you hadn't had these reupholstered yet.
Right? Yeah, that's the thing. So if anybody's seen, I know the folks on TikTok probably can't see these chairs, but the folks on YouTube have seen them. We got these chairs from a Scottish guy actually, who's moved over here, living in Grand Prairie, got him as a project, never did anything with them, picked them up for $300. They're just glorious, but I mean, they've seen some love. They've had some days,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be really cool actually to send them to an upholsterer and just get them redone.
Yeah, that could be. That might be in the future.
A guy already feels like a king just sitting in these chairs, but
They are comfy.
can you imagine if we had them all leathered up and they make that kind of creaky noise as you sit into it, and just the warmth of the leather, it would just, I don't know, it would just take us to the next level. So
Yeah, it would be.
yeah, I don't ask forgiveness too much with the wife anymore these days. I found hasn't worked out that well for me in the past.
The Saddle Builder says, bring them on over. They do a little leather work.
Saddle leather,
We could probably bang these chairs out.
probably half a day.
Probably no problem at
Put some
all.
buckles on the side, cinch it up.
Might have to think about that. I do have a guy that we were going to call here, and I mean, if that doesn't work, yeah, you might get pressed into service.
Yeah,
It's all about who you know.
yeah. No, we got to make it happen. That actually would be a cool, YouTube video to do, to take the chairs in and just work through that whole process of reupholstering the chairs.
Because they are absolute mint chairs.
Yeah,
Like,
these chairs were actually custom made, and I forgot. I did a whole thing on them back in the day. I can't even remember now, but they were done. Like
yeah. Well,
this one was 1966, and I think that one was 1965.
Yeah.
They were custom made for. Be damned if I can remember the guy's name. Anyways, kind of cool. Anyways, they got some real history behind them, right? So. A couple Queen Anne style chairs.
Well, it was even neat how it lucked out. This kind of all came together for those on TikTok, or if there's anybody new chiming in on YouTube, how this all came together. It was just chairs come, and then Stan did all the work back here, and then we started filling it up.
Yeah. Well, we had the first one. Like I said, we were in front of the tractor. We just had these brown chairs. So we had the old school brown chairs, and the plastic table.
Plastic table.
Greasy old tractor is the back.
I don't know what we drank out of. Solo cups. No, I brought these.
No. We had these right off the get go. Yeah, these are the OG cups, right?
I can show you the land while you're here. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas. Well, I plan on coming down to Edmonton in. Did you pour any yet? Pour any
whiskey?
Do pour any scotch. Anyways, Kuna Salary, I do plan on coming down early November, I believe. So we got to go down and do a little bit of shopping for some furniture for our new house. And
that's right. Yeah, how many days is that?
They think we'll be in by November, so we're going to. Of course, we're fortunate, right? I mean, we're living on the property where we already, so it doesn't really matter, right? We're living in a furnished place, so
yeah.
Once it's ready to move in, we'll be able to kind of go back and forth for a little bit if we need to.
Shit across the yard.
I do plan to leave everything in the trailer because I mean it's all.
So you're just gonna new furniture get delivered.
Yeah. So we're gonna
appliances.
We were shopping a bit today in town, and then of course, I mean, I don't know, Grand Prairie is not. There's not a lot there, right? There's not a lot of options.
No, there's not, and you got to wait far too long for it, and it's probably not that great. So,
did you answer that guy? But yes, we've poured scotch.
We have poured, yeah. So we're drinking Glenlivet 15-year-old single malt this evening. It's a beautiful whiskey, absolutely beautiful whiskey.
And I don't know, it must be the cigar now that's starting to get a bit harsh. Getting down and probably starting that last
I'm noticing that now that we're at that kind of the halfway mark, I'm noticing a change in the flavor profile, but I haven't noticed any harshness yet, but it's definitely getting fuller for sure.
They are. And if you're interested in a glass yourself to pour, I can't see. It's just too far away. If you follow us on YouTube, join that Smoke and Oak channel. Every live stream, if you comment on our YouTube side, we give away either your choice of a whiskey glass or a pretty top shelf Smoke and Oak coffee mug if you're not a whiskey guy. So if you like what you're seeing here, it's always a good night. Our live streams usually run 2 hours. I think we've actually had a couple top 3.
Yep.
Obviously, we don't expect anybody to stick around for 3 hours. Some do, though, and we appreciate that. It's awesome dialogue.
The thing is that the whole point of it is the dialogue, right? So,
and if you're interested in that and you want to pop in and throw yourself a comment down there and
let us know what's on your mind.
Join in the chat. We're always looking for new topics. This Chad had said, can you guys talk about something a little lighter, something funny? And he's right. I mean, there's enough, especially the last couple years. There's been enough negative floating around, but with that week of social media disaster that we had or I guess overreaction, I thought this is going to be fun.
Get this one off the chest.
And it's something that we don't have to do a lot of research into.
No, so we didn't have any notes for tonight. It's just basically anecdotal from our experience, right?
Absolutely. And if you're on either YouTube here or on TikTok watching and you've never seen any of these lives before, my favorite one I think so far was our famine one. And we've done a lot of research before we do these to keep the conversation rolling. This is our second one where we've done now with no notes, just kind of uncensored off the cuff. Sorry. So if the famine one was definitely cool to check out. That was probably my favorite one so far. And there was a lot of good information. I even watched that one back a few times. I know what I'm looking for.
That's probably the one with the most research behind it.
Yeah, to get those production numbers and stuff like that. It's very cool. It's not just
we're not just two guys making shit up as we go along. We're actually doing some homework, right? So
exactly.
You care for a?
I'm gonna have a little bit more. Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you. There you go. So a little bit of little water too. So
That's interesting. A little bit of water, maybe, just out of interest. Not that the whiskey's strong, but I'm curious.
your glacial water.
This water came from the Athabasca Glacier and fell as snow 10,000 years ago. We're just going to put a couple drops in there, just like that, to see if we can unlock any other flavors. We don't want to water down the whiskey. We don't want to make it any milder. We don't want to take anything away from it. But if there's undertones, anything that we can't pick up, this should unlock it.
And if you're watching and you're not much in for the conversation, but you like cigars and whiskey, tune in for the first half an hour. The first half an hour of these is usually
the first half an hour is that's
cigars and scotch.
Cigars and scotch, the review, the unboxing, the history.
And I don't believe yet we finished one.
Finished one bottle?
I don't think so.
We've never. We generally make it to a halfway mark and then we start another one.
There's a lot of bottles here now.
Yeah, we should probably circle back and try something else, eh?
Yeah.
Try something twice.
Try something again.
Yeah.
I think that Glenfiddich we did twice.
Fred says, I know I'm not able to win, but can you let me know how much to buy a couple coffee mugs? Well, I'll leave that to Robin. He's the businessman here. I'm just here for my good looks.
Who said that, Glenn?
Fred.
Fred.
Yeah.
Who's Fred?
Alberta Boy 74.
Oh, well, what did he win last time? He must have won a glass.
Is that Pendleton back there? Man, what a set of eyes, I tell you. Yes, there is a Pendleton 12-year-old rye back there. A colleague of mine actually gave me that bottle. He was gifted a bottle of rye, and rye wasn't his thing, and so he gave it to me. So
you'll have to, maybe that's what you'll have to do on the Smoke and Oak TikTok, is a quick tour.
Let's do a quick whiskey tour. Yeah. Just introduce everybody to what we got in the selection.
We do have some pretty cool ones. So a lot of these are, like even this. So this is the second most consumed scotch in the United States and the most consumed scotch on the planet. Just Glenlivet.
I wonder how much of it's consumed in Scotland.
So, yeah, it would be neat to. Well, I should do that one day. I'll do a break. I just try to find a breakdown of scotch consumption around the globe.
Yeah.
But we got some cool ones. I think the first Dalmore that we bought, I think, is probably the one that I think is the coolest. And then we ended up with another Dalmore cigar malt. Then you have that Laphroaig, which has quite an interesting royal history, I believe.
Well, Laphroaig, no, Laphroaig doesn't have the royal history. But what's cool about Laphroaig is it comes with a coupon. And if you actually go to the distillery with that coupon, they'll give you a glass of whiskey for free.
Oh, okay, that's
what's cool about that one. And actually, one of my university professors would drink a bottle of that every single day.
Oh, wow.
That's why I bought that one, because of
interesting.
Oh, well,
what a guy.
Very knowledgeable, but raging alcoholic. And I wonder what the hype's all about. And it certainly is like a tire fire in a wet ditch. Like it's very peaty.
That one was,
we
had that after. I think that was after we drank that Appleton rum, and I don't think that did it very justice.
Yeah, and I think that was the problem, is we settled on 2/3 of a bottle of Appleton rum, and then for a nightcap we had some Laphroaig. And so I think you got to start off with Laphroaig, but you're generally only good for 2 or 3 drinks, and that's about as much as your palate can take of it, right?
Unless you don't need a bottle.
Unless you have a very, I would say, mature palate, right? So yeah, you wouldn't need a bottle.
No.
You got to have some real problems, some real first world problems to take a bottle of that down the hatch. So,
and if anybody's watching and looking for a recommendation, thinking like, well, I'm not a scotch drinker. If you want to start out, I would start out with either this or that Dalmore 12-year.
You would, eh?
That Dalmore 12-year was almost like juice.
I think that the Balvenie Doublewood was a really good one too. I mean, it was a fan favorite of mine.
That was who hooked you? The chair guy hooked you up.
The chair guy actually made the recommendation, but you had already brought the bottle. We already had the bottle here, and he said, "Oh, this is the greatest Scotch of all time." And then we tried it, and yeah, I really liked it.
That's another light colored Scotch.
So just I guess for the benefit of the viewers that can't taste this, 2 drops of water in the Glenlivet 15 has unlocked a lot of sweetness, a lot of fruity flavor, but it tames down the spice quite a bit. So if you find that the spice or the burn on the back of the throat is a little bit too much, 2 drops basically, doesn't take the flavor away, but it does make it quite fruity. So that's good. Okay, just got back in, out working with the boys tonight. I'll have to catch the first half replay. That's the beauty of this, is it's all live. If you're watching on YouTube, you can go back and rewatch it all. One thing, what a colleague of mine recently said is that I can't dedicate 2 or 3 hours, sit down and watch the whole thing. That's fine. Come back and watch what you can when you can or whatever. But he did say, he's like, it really interests me is what you guys talk about with the Scotch and with the cigars.
Yeah.
And so today I uploaded, 3 or 4 different videos, specifically about Scotch reviews or cigar reviews that we've done. I think we'll probably try and do that a few more times. It's just chop up 7 to 10 minutes or something like that when we're talking about something that may interest you, right? If you're looking for a new Scotch to try, or you're looking, especially if you go to the cigar store and you're looking at 200 or 300 cigars, what do you pick?
Yeah.
Let us make the mistakes, I guess.
Well, and that's just it, right? Because it's funny to think, but you said there was 100 and some cigars in that humidor now, I think.
Well, it's 175 total that can fit in there,
and it's pretty much full.
And it's pretty full.
Now, we did get Monte Cristos from a guy that come back from Cuba, so
there's quite a few of those.
There is a few of those, but we I don't know if we bought the same cigar twice since we started.
No, there was the Monte Cristos, and then there was one other kind. They came in a Trinidad box, but that wasn't the actual cigar.
Yeah, that was a bit of a,
I forget what they were, but
wool over the eyes sort of thing.
Smoke and mirrors there.
Because the Trinidad box would imply that these are very high-end cigars, and when we started to research the cigar in the box, not that it was garbage or anything, but it was not.
Yeah, what were they here?
It was definitely not what it should be.
It's right here, isn't it? La Gloria Cubana. I don't know if that's a good cigar or not a good cigar, but looks to be about a 5.5, probably 50 ring gauge. It'd be a good cigar.
Well, it's bigger than that. You said this was 48.
This is a 43.
43. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
definitely the first third smoked quickly. Second third smokes very, very slowly. I'm not even to the final third yet here.
Well, you're a
little bit ahead of me.
Door. But yeah, good way to spend the evening for sure. At least some of it, especially on a rainy night.
Yeah, I'm interested because it hasn't quit raining now since yesterday. Since yesterday evening. It was supposed to rain all day here yesterday. We didn't get anything until probably 4:30, 5 o'clock maybe.
Okay.
But it's consistently been like every inch of airspace has been occupied by a raindrop since then.
It's plenty wet. So it's giving me good perspective around our new shed, because I had to try to get that landscaping done right so it would run around, and I got some dirt to move when it dries up again. You got to see where the water lays.
That's what we got to do with the barn, actually. So we built that barn this spring, and then I don't want to call it procrastination because that's not really accurate, but we haven't had the time to work on the inside, and I also haven't really had time to work on the outside. So I called a guy here a couple of weeks ago to come do some dirt work around the outside, just get the water going. Just not there. Just get it somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully you can swing over with the Bobcat and get that out. So having a smoke and a Diet Coke, kind of hanging out.
That's perfect.
That's awesome.
That's perfect. Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
And as I said before, I really do encourage people to, until we get it figured out. So we do have I started a TikTok today for Smoking Oak.
Which is just going to blow up. I know it's going to blow up.
It's well, it should. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty neat. But YouTube is where we started. That's where we focus most of our. It's kind of where we.
Yeah.
So I do encourage the guys watching on TikTok to subscribe to the Smoking Oak on YouTube. There's about 60 people. It's not a.
Yeah, it's tough as a content creator because YouTube is being like the second largest search engine in the world. That's where you want to be. But if you want to actually achieve growth, TikTok actually has better growth, I find, than YouTube for sure, right? But likewise, YouTube versus TikTok, it's not in how many followers you have. It's all on the what is that company pushing, right?
Yeah.
In TikTok, it's the For You page. On YouTube, it's the suggested videos, right? So.
So I don't know if we had enough. Anybody got any stories of how they instantly offended somebody on social media?
Tell us about the Karens.
Because we've opened up on ours. Ours were.
I think the Karens are where it's at, right? Because we're not talking about the keyboard warriors anymore with the Karens, right? What's the male alternative to Karen? Kevin?
Kevin, I believe, yeah. So I was wondering, I don't know if you've seen this lady at Subway who is all in giving the people grief about touching her sandwich or whatever. Did you see that?
I did not see that. How do you make a sandwich without touching it?
Well, yeah, she just kind of was carrying on about the pepper in the soup and, does that pepper? And the guy was like, yeah, anyway. So, and I'm thinking like, so the guy's filming it. And how do you approach these people? How do you handle them in day-to-day life? Because I think for sure they are so far into the minority. I really believe, like the country song, most people are good. We've got our general set of morals laid out. They generally align, or at least they're close enough that we can get by with one another.
Not going to cause too much shit.
We just sort of want to go about our day. I don't want to slow down the guy in front of me, and I don't want to slow down the guy behind me. So I'll just do my thing.
Yeah.
Right. And how do these? Like, I'm not a confrontational person. I don't want to be a provocative person. So I just kind of walk away. But is that always right? Like, should somebody speak up and be like, look, lady, well, just leave these people alone. They're making your sandwich. Because what's that going to do? Like you said, they're going to now throw up a shield and be totally blank and not listen to any form of reason. But I mean, you're bothering the people that are working there. You're bothering the people behind you that are trying to get their food. You're bothering the people ahead of you trying to pay for their food.
Yeah.
Like, this is not all about you.
No, and that's the thing. Like, I think it's really easy on the internet to happen, right? I get that because there's no consequence. But the people that act out like this, like in public, where there could be consequence, they still get away with it.
They do.
Right? And why? Like, why doesn't somebody just say, shut the fuck up?
And I got to say, myself, it would be a pretty extreme situation for me to have to get involved. I generally want to be in the back of the room somewhere.
Yeah.
I just want to be kind of left alone. But that really irritated me. I thought, like, just get out of the...
But you know why, though? Like if you're acting out like that in public, like, you got real balls.
Well,
if you're gonna act on the internet, you don't have to have anything but an internet connection and a power supply, and you can be the biggest, most ignorant person out there. But to do that in a subway, like, you gotta have some audacity.
Yeah, but does that now does this audacity, this pride and show of basically a force that you're gonna get away with this? Does that go hand in hand with intelligence? Like, I look at these people, I think you're the dumbest son of a bitch to ever walk God's green earth. Just get your shit and leave, just like the rest of us. Just get your shit and go. Like, you understand the process at Subway. They make your sandwich for you.
Right.
So if you can't handle it, piss off.
You just said the best thing to do is to film them and post it, and that. Don't get me wrong, the rest of the world loves that because it's hilarious because it gives us something to talk about.
But
what we need to do is to have somebody that will film somebody saying, "Get your shit and get out of here."
Right. And that's...
I don't know if you've ever made a sandwich before, but like, I can't just like do fucking witchcraft and then the lettuce just lands in there and cuts itself.
With
like,
a set of tongs for every bin here.
what are we doing? Like, I don't know if you know how sandwiches work, but and that's what we need. We need the world needs a hero. The world needs a hero.
Well, the thing and as I said before, I think most people are good. I think most people have their morals aligned and what's right and wrong and socially acceptable. So there's a legion of us existing that don't want to impact others. So, you know, if like you should be booed out of the place, and then you should sit in your car and now reflect. Like, holy fuck, 18 people just unanimously decided I was a terrible person.
Yeah.
I'm going to look in the mirror now. I think the problem's me.
Know. Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because everybody just told me to leave. Like, they can't deal with my pettiness.
Yeah.
Of sandwich making art. I don't know. It's just that's. Yeah, it's a not a good situation. It's probably a no-win situation. But what it embarrasses them and makes them relive the moment forever. That's punishment. You are right. You're absolutely right.
I don't know if it is. I really don't. I don't know if I agree with that.
You don't think they get well? You don't
know because I honestly
I
think they relish in it because whether it's lack of IQ or whether it's that's really this is my 15 minutes or what it is, but
they surely can't think.
You look at that guy that yelled at Chrystia Freeland.
Oh,
and whether you agree with that or not, it doesn't matter. That's the point I'm trying to make. But all publicity is good publicity,
I suppose,
for some of these people, right? And so you can be beaking off of them, telling them to shut the fuck up and get their sandwich and get the hell out of there and calling them batshit crazy. When they leave, I honestly think the people that have that kind of behavior in public, I think they relish in it. I really do. I think that's how they almost their vampiric hunger for attention is fed and nurtured by that kind of reaction.
Well, I guess that's why the far right and the far left exist, because we are that polar opposite. I wouldn't, like I said, even the few things I've done that's been questioned on social media have left pits in my stomach, really questioning, was it worth it? Was it right? Was it wrong? Really thinking it through.
Yeah, I mean, you even texted me and said,
"Well, oh yeah, right away.
What do you think about this? Is this
it affected my day?
Am I wrong, or what should I do with this?"
I went looking for advice and for assistance on this situation because nothing good came out of it.
Yeah, no, and I like I said, I think they relish in it. I think for the most part, a lot of these folks are like legit batshit crazy. They just feed off of it, right?
Well, I read through some of the comments on that video, and someone was like, "As somebody who works at Subway, I can assure you this is a daily occurrence." And I thought, like, holy shit, really? Like, I am so non-confrontational. This happened twice now in a restaurant. Once it was at Boston Pizza. I ordered my food. I was with a friend of mine. He ordered his food. Came out, was not at all what I ordered. I just ate it, and then the waitress came back 40 minutes later. She said, "You didn't order that, did you?" I said, "No, not at all, but it's fine."
Thanks, honey, for figuring that out.
Right? Like I didn't even say it at the time. I was like, good enough, right? Like It's food. It doesn't matter to me. I don't have allergies.
Sure.
And you know what? It was a good surprise for the day. So I ate it and perfect. Then another time we were in Edmonton with friends of ours. And I ordered something, and she asked me, do you want mushrooms? I said, no, thanks, I don't want mushrooms. So it came back loaded with mushrooms, and the woman, a friend of mine, she instantly said something to the waitress, and I started sweating, like uncontrollably. And when the waitress left, apologizing, and I was like, just leave my food alone. Like, it's okay, I can eat mushrooms. You asked the fucking question, I gave you an answer. You didn't go out my way, and I'm good with that. Like,
you know what happens when your plate goes back, right?
Well, not even that, but yeah, I get your point. It was just, it didn't matter. It didn't matter enough.
That burger's going straight down here.
It didn't matter enough. And when the waitress left me, and I said, like, I wish you wouldn't do that when I'm like, it wasn't for you to say.
No, that's my hill to die on, my battle to fight.
And I'm so unconfrontational that I could order something specific, be brought the total wrong fucking order, and I'm just good with that. It doesn't matter to me. Perfect.
Yeah.
You did a good job.
whatever.
right?
I'm not hungry
you've
anymore.
done, you had one job to write something down and take it back to the cook. You failed, but you've done a good job. You've surprised me.
Yeah.
Life is good. Let's all not ruin each other's day.
No, you fucked it up, but if you take it back to the cook, I'm gonna suffer. We'll just leave it there. Yeah. What did Justin say? Hop back and forth from TikTok to YouTube. That's why I'm here and there. Oh man, it's like a time traveler.
What's that? I'm just saying that's all. Yeah. Oh, they're having their own thing back.
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
good.
That's the beauty of this too, is the side conversations, the dialogue. People get to meet each other, make connections that they wouldn't otherwise meet.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
wouldn't otherwise make, right? So yeah. Fred said, never ever mess with the people that make your food. He spent 9 years in the military, and regardless how shitty my day was, I always smile and say thank you. Yeah, well, I mean, at least you're getting fed, right? So,
Well, and that's it. So what makes us so different? Where there's a number of us that we're kind of good with letting things play out the way that they are, and then there's a group of people that no matter what is happening, unless they have direct influence in every aspect of it, and then it's still not good enough often.
yeah.
I couldn't be that
Well,
way.
you definitely see that in the restaurant business, right? Like that's one industry I don't envy anybody that works in there, and I certainly would not make a choice to work in that industry.
No,
Because
absolutely not.
if anybody gets shit on, it's those folks, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
I tell you, that is some damn good whiskey.
That is a mighty fine one. I don't know if is it the extra 3 years in the box that works. Or
I
what?
think I don't know what happens in 3 years, but witchcraft.
I think there was a. See, it seems to be a real price tipping point. One like from the down to the 20.
If it would not be rude of me to ask, what was this worth?
These are, I think they're $57 a bottle.
56. So that's still within reason.
It's not too bad
You know,
because
we've got some 10 years that are worth,
the
almost twice that.
I was going to say the scotches start at $45.
Yeah.
That's going to get you a lot of like this Glenfiddich and
that-
stuff, $38.
If you're a single malt, they start at 45 bucks. The blended scotches you can get like $20-$25.
Okay. We only
Like
have
like
one blend.
like a famous grouse or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Want to get some real was it Chad was talking about like burning ditch water?
Okay. Yeah.
Get into some of that 25. Those are the folks that say, "Oh, I hate Scotch. I hate Scotch." That's why, right? If you just spent $5 more, not that I can't call anybody for being cheap, but it makes a hell of a difference. It really does.
Well, we noticed that right away when it would have been like our third or fourth live stream when we started.
Even from going from a Glenfiddich to this is like it's not even comparable.
No, it's not. It's
not like Pepsi and Coke.
But you had said that right away the first time that you because neither one of us are actually drinkers, so we're like, well, and this whole start was like, what's kind of a cool thing we can do is smoke cigars and drink scotch.
Yeah, I mean,
get dressed up and sit in a cool space.
Yeah, why not?
Super
right?
comfy chairs.
Yeah.
But some of these, I guess, the lower because people think, well, it kind of is what you pay for with scotch.
It is, yeah.
And in fact, we're going to find that out in October, I think.
You have no idea. I got a ticket for you actually too.
I was going to ask you that later.
Don't leave with it. Well, you can leave without it, but just don't let me forget that I have a ticket for you because that is the Regional EMS Foundation.
Yeah,
it's their annual fundraiser. They have a wine tasting night.
Okay.
Beforehand, and then of course that's not for everybody. So they decided to do a Scotch tasting evening. This is the second time they've done the Scotch tasting. They have 30 different types of Scotch, or 30 different tastings of Scotch to try. So, have you gentlemen ever been to the Cigar Lounge by the River Cree? I've never been to a cigar lounge.
Road trip.
I smoked a cigar at the West Edmonton Mall parking lot one time. That's the only cigar I've smoked away from here.
Might have to do a road trip.
Other than a few at the rig back in the day.
Yeah. Might have to do a road trip. I didn't even know they existed, to be totally honest with you. I mean, why not?
I wonder if that's like is that actually at the river? Like, is that at the casino? Like, is it? Is it there or where? What? We're gonna have to do
It's
some homework on
by
that.
the River Creek.
Yeah, I wonder what that's all about. So, yeah. Well,
But yeah, the cigar tasting or the Scotch tasting should be a good time.
I'm excited. I'm excited. To try because we've got a vast selection already.
I think
We
there's
really
close
do.
to 30 bottles there.
Yeah, I mean, but to try something that's well outside of our immediate expertise, and with a group of people too to get their perspective on it.
Yep.
I'm not sure if we're going to film that one or how that's going to go.
I was thinking about that too.
We might just enjoy the experience and come back and provide a report on it. I guess I don't know. If we have any favorites, maybe we'll purchase a couple bottles and bring them home.
Yes, it's going to be a time.
Firefighter 1111 joined. Interesting. What fire department are you with? Love to hear from you.
Hopefully they
Serve right here in Beaver Lodge, Alberta, actually. So.
This rain was a godsend for that fire. That smoke was just unbelievable rolling in daily.
The Hiding Creek fire, that one went out really, really quick. The crews got on top of that one. But the Bear Hole Lake fire, holy man. That was keeping them working. Days and days and days of helicopter and dirty, like just grubbing it out, ground level. They did a number of back burns and, right? It was like trying to breathe through a freaking memory foam pillow, right? It was just brutal.
Yeah,
The air was just thick. Right?
The folks at Kelly Lake had to leave once or twice.
I think the evacuation alert's been lifted now, but they've been back home for a week, thank goodness. So
yes,
yeah. So speaking of fire department, that was a great fireman's ball. Oh, Justin. Oh, that's right. Justin was there. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So that almost went completely sideways, actually. So we got it was a little bit different this year. We got live lobster.
Oh yes.
Instead of we usually get pre-cooked and flash frozen lobster. And then you're not going to poison anybody that way, right? So we got live lobster, so the pressure was on, and we were into it about 7 minutes of cooking time, and tones go off, and all of our cooking crew just hopped in a fire engine. Away they went to go fight a baler fire.
Oh boy!
So yeah, so that made life interesting. So we had to realign our staffing arrangement, and hopefully nobody in the front noticed, but got everybody fed and had a lovely evening. So yeah, it was good. So Kootenai Saddlery said this the place by the Cree has great food as well. It's called the Q. Well, now we know.
The Q.
Might have to take a road trip.
Might have to do a road trip. Well, it's going to be the Farmer's Almanac is calling for a long winter, so long harsh winter. So I think that a trip away from the Great White North to the city might be.
Go buy new suits. Have a cigar.
Go to a cigar place.
Have a steak at the River Cree.
I got to give it. So I actually picked up 4 more cigars today at Al's News. That is a cool shop in Grand Prairie.
It is. You're lucky to walk out of there with just cigars.
If you can stomach downtown traffic and no parking to get down there in that shitty city, definitely gotta go there. That's any place downtown really. And then Cedar Gems, I mean, they do a really top.
I'm excited for their new store actually.
But
see what that looks like.
We're limited to 2. Then everything else is marijuana and vape shops.
Yeah. There's Sheffield and Sons too, but if you want a cigar that's as dry as a freaking Timothy is right now out in the field, that's pretty much what you're going to get.
Yeah, and unfortunately for them, at least in their mall location, it's kind of, to me, it's like buying them at a gas station.
It pretty much is.
There's this novelty shit in there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, lighters with boobs on them or whatever. And,
yeah.
Like that's
you're not getting it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like. And then even as far as, of course, I don't know how alcohol is heavily regulated in Canada and in Alberta. So, but there's got to be some fairly high end liquor stores that a guy can window shop in that aren't just.
Yeah, he says, especially now that your suit has a burn hole in it. Actually, it went, you know what? It hit my leg. It got really hot for a while, and then it rolled off onto the chair and burnt a hole in the chair.
Oh,
Right,
so,
right there, right.
So
in the
now we do
upholstery.
need. Well, what we might have
So-
to do is load these chairs up, drop them off at Kootenai Saddlery.
There's a piece of the upholstery coming out right there. So
Tour the 2,300 acre addition. Go for
hop on horseback. And
go off on horseback and go. Well, it's going to be cold when we go in the winter because we don't get away from here in the summer. There's always too much to do.
You ride a horse? You ride a horse?
I don't mind. I've ridden horses
Yeah.
before, but it's not my thing for sure.
It's not my
Like
thing.
I don't mind it. If someone's gonna arrange a horseback ride for a day, I would go on it. I had the picnic. I'd enjoy myself. We had horses at the farm. They ate grass.
If there was a way,
Right?
they eat grass. Yeah, we've got a couple horses here, and every once in a while there'd be a full size horse here that my wife decides to work with. And while she was pregnant, I hopped on one a couple of times. And if there was ever a way to accelerate gravity, put me on a horse, and I will show you the quickest way to the ground. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I just
More of a side by side guy.
me and horses. I like to feed them. I like, let's get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and fork some hay over this hay burning son of a bitch.
Buckets of water over
But
there.
yeah, for me to actually get on a ride one, unless it's a Polaris, probably not going to happen. What did Justin say? Quality right there. Get your firewood stacked up, boys. I don't know. Did you put a fireplace in your house?
We did, yeah.
You did. Oh, good for you. Because that is the biggest regret I have with our house is we did not put a fireplace in.
And we put an air
We
conditioner.
put a gas fireplace in. We were plugged into the matrix,
Okay.
and $1,100 gas bill last February. Like
No,
if that doesn't have you racing to the polls, I don't know what does. But
What did Alberta boy say here? Don't film, just enjoy yourself.
that's a really good point.
To film, we will. What do you say?
Don't film. So when we go to to the Scotch tasting in October, don't film it. Just enjoy yourself. Trying to film will only take away from the experience. That's a really valid point. Just soak it up. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's most likely the outcome that's going
No,
to
that's
happen.
totally
but
what's going to happen. Right?
It's if a guy can snap a few pictures to remember the event and maybe a 3-minute clip or whatever.
Yeah, I might have to do it.
I mean, I believe it's 7 to 10. So
One or
that's
two for TikTok.
that's a few hours.
Oh, there is it goes to 10?
I think it's 7 to 10.
Okay. We'll have to figure out a ride home. We're kind of looking that up for a.
Yeah, I was. Well, yet again, I was in looking at.
The wife sent me like 7 different keys, please services out of Grand Prairie. She said it's only like $100 to get home. So
Yeah, well, I was looking at that. I thought even like these driving outfits, because I mean I'm about shopping local or whatever, and if it's gonna be a night out, it's gonna be a night out. That'll be the first one in like 8 years for me. So if this guy spends a little bit to ensure everybody's safe, no big deal. But I can't even hardly find any information on a chauffeur service or whatever. I thought, get picked up, get dropped off.
interesting.
Don't have to worry about going in the next day to get a vehicle.
Yeah.
But we're going to figure something out. We'll do it right.
Keep it slick, right? Nathan just joined us on TikTok. Said, "Is the ceiling tin?" Yeah, actually, it is. This is, believe it or not, you would never believe this based on the backdrop, but this is my shop. This is where I store the tractor, just over here on the other side. It's not in there right now because of course it's summertime, or fall. But yeah, this is the farm shop, and we wanted a space where we could have cigars, have a whiskey, be a little bit more. What would you call it? Cozy, refined. I was going to say intimate, but it's not. That could be taken a couple of different ways.
Well, yeah, if that doesn't offend you, it's a fair enough word to say.
If you want to be more mature about it, right? That's what it is, right? Is to bring the crowd in to enjoy the atmosphere.
It definitely
was
creates
the
good
point of it.
conversation.
But in redoing the walls and the decorum, I didn't do anything with the roof because why would you, right? So So it's just a kind of a cool space, right? So
Relaxing. Yeah, it is very relaxing. And this all kind of came together just boom. Like there wasn't a bunch of off the cuff, there wasn't a bunch of thought put into it. It was just
well, no, what happened is my wife had a baby, and I had a couple of weeks off work, and there's only so much that a guy can do if your wife has a baby, and if you got a couple of weeks off work, what do you do in that dead time where you're not going to be annoying to your wife? So came out here, spent some time with the skill saw and a pail of varnish, put up some shelves. I think, well, you ordered that picture off Fiverr, right?
I did. Yeah.
Your mom went to the thrift store and got the original
got
picture,
the original frame, and
which was like a pastoral scene, right?
like a big oak tree or something.
Yeah, I can't remember, but and then got that upgraded to the HMS Metcalf there. So
yeah, that is. It's funny how this picture looks to those who are watching. If you are looking at this picture with your own eyes in front of you, it is blurred and pixelated to almost no end. However, if you look at it through a camera,
from far enough away,
it almost looks like it's a real. Like it doesn't look as bad as it does.
It doesn't look as blurry. So yeah.
That is well, yeah. That's Stan's family crest on the sail.
That is,
so
yeah.
That's what that's about.
Metcalf family crest. So.
And also, when I found out, right when Stan said, "Yeah, the baby's here," so I got a couple weeks off. I thought, well, what better thing can I do than get somebody a humidor to season, because that's actually quite a process.
Yeah,
it's like tending your own child for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah,
checking the humidity, changing out Belvita packs. So we ended up with a Delray 150.
Delray 150, yeah.
It is a beautiful.
I had to do
beautiful
a salt calibration on the hygrometer. That was kind of the first experiment. It was like, if I want to season this thing and get the humidity right, I had to put there was a tablespoon of salt, tablespoon and a half of water in a bottle cap in a Ziploc bag with the hygrometer, calibrate it to 75% after 48 hours, put it in there, get the humidity just right. And actually, I just had a runaway here 2 days ago. Things started to go sideways. Had to pull one of the pucks out. I didn't want to create any mold or anything like that. So
no,
that's the one thing that I wasn't really sure about with the humidor was how much babysitting a guy was going to have to do. But it's been very, very consistent over the summer because it's been dry. But then 2 days ago, it's forecasting the weather, right?
Yeah.
And it's saying shit's about to hit the fan. So started getting more and more humid, right? So I was like, oh boy, I better start pulling this back. And sure enough, so I got dialed in right there now at I think it's like 73% or something like that. So that's right where it needs to be.
It's in the ideal mark, anyways.
Yes, yeah, no, exactly where it needs to be. So. Nathan says, I understand I have brick walls in my shop, the ceiling for easy cleaning, tin ceiling for easy cleaning. Yeah, well, hopefully I don't have to do too much cleaning on the ceiling, but one thing we've noticed definitely as the fall has set in is that flies are seeming to make their way into the shop. As the seasons have changed, they're trying to find places to, what do they call that? Hibernate, I guess.
Hibernate?
Yeah, for the year, so. Chad says, your doctor's a little judgy. Mine told me I put on some weights. I said she had too, kind of left it at that. My doctor actually was pretty good. Doctor's Irish, so I mean he was pretty upfront and said like, yeah, I've eaten some pie. He's Irish, right? So he spent some time in Ireland. He'd eaten some pies and drank some Guinness, and he gets it. So
ever smoked a pipe? I haven't.
I have, but not. I've never purchased my own pipe. I contemplated whether or not a guy should actually get into that too, because that
would be something. Eh?
That's a very interesting way of smoking tobacco too. That's something I would, one day I would love to explore that.
It could be something to look out for. I don't think I've ever smoked a pipe.
I don't know if you could sit and smoke a pipe for an hour and a half or 2 hours. I don't know if you could do that.
No, that's interesting. You see that because one thing that we look to now is smoke time on a cigar.
Yeah,
And a lot of the ones, aside from the 70 ring gauge, are like
they're 3.5 hours. Right?
right,
We're now an hour and 54, and
it's about right.
this
Because
is
you said an hour and a half.
an hour and a half. But of course, we converse and we talking, and we don't smoke all the time. But if you consistently puffed on this, yeah, you'd be right around that hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half.
And I think that's what I think that's probably what they gauge the time on is a little bit of a conversation. So usually the first half hour of our lives is discussing scotch, discussing the cigar before we even pour it or drink or light it. So yeah, we're an hour and a half in, and we're getting down there.
Yeah. Randall said 1.6K. Wow, tough to get cigars in Grand Prairie. My choice always sold out. Yeah, it is tough in a remote northern community. I mean, for as advantageous as we are to live as close to Grand Prairie and to have the benefits of living close to a city, we still don't get a lot of the stuff that other places get, right? So a trip to Edmonton, a trip to Calgary is still like a trip to the candy store at times, right?
It absolutely is. I mean, make no mistake, and we've talked about this in previous live streams about other things. The Peace Country up here is an anomaly, and Grand Prairie is a hub for oil patch forestry activity. It is not a hub for civilization. You don't get the amenities you get everywhere.
You don't get
else.
the amenities. No. It is like the end of the railroad kind of community.
So this is built on what do I need for the oil patch? What do I need for agriculture? What do I need for forestry? And it's probably in Grand Prairie, or they can make it, or they can get it. It is not a scotch and cigars and luxury shopping. It's not a center for that.
But the more and more that we do this, the more and more I come across people that have run across the channel that I know, that I've known for years, that I've been like, oh, I'm an avid scotch drinker, or I smoke cigars every single week that I never would have, right?
Yeah.
I think the community is larger than we realize, but we just haven't found, because the area is so large, and we just haven't found a way to connect, right?
Well, and I mean, I think that certainly social media gives us that reach, and folks can get involved.
Oh, 100%, right? So, Justin said you can get fancy cigars on there. Maybe I might have missed a previous comment. Not sure where he's talking about, but
the trick is to lay out 4 to 5 and have them like the courses of a meal.
4 to 5 cigars, or 4 to 5 scotches, or pipes.
Boy, 4 to 5 cigars. I think you'd want to have some pretty small cigars, or you might end up with a tummy ache at the end of the evening.
And 4 to 5 scotches. Well, when we do our tasting, you said there's 30.
There's 30. Yes, I know. We're gonna
cancel this on my phone here.
We're gonna get. Hopefully we don't get wrecked too hard that night.
Oh, it is flashing out. It says lost connection. I don't know if that's because my phone
hopefully we're not losing too many people. So.
For the folks on TikTok, I'm going to say this one more time, because my phone just said it was going to die. If you're on TikTok and you've been watching and you're liking what you see, we are really set up for YouTube. That's the other camera, the ring lights, the computer, everything is set up for our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel. It's called Smoke and Oak.
4 to 5 pipes.
Definitely encourage everybody to check that out on YouTube. If you enjoyed this tonight. When you comment, when you participate in the conversation on the YouTube side, your name gets entered into a draw for one of these cups that's in front of you, either a Smoke and Oak whiskey glass or a Smoke and Oak coffee cup. There also is a few Smoke and Oak hoodies, so you can choose one of those as well. And we give one thing away every live stream to somebody who's participated in the comment section. Now that the channel is fairly young, I think there's 60 subscribers on this side.
It's still pretty new. Right?
And when we do our lives, there's usually about 30 people that come.
Swing in and out throughout the evening, right?
As far as those that comment, there's usually, I would say, around 15, and 8 of them have already won something. So your chances of winning are usually pretty good. There's usually 5 or 6 on the wheel.
Yeah.
And when we upload those too, so if you want to look at some of our past live streams, And even before Smoking Oak. So Stan's channel is called The Gentleman Farmer.
That's right too. We did a couple of joint lives through
Before we
both
set
our
up
channels.
Smoking Oak.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's got The Gentleman Farmer on YouTube. Definitely check that out. Subscribe to that.
You're the Millionaire Farm. No,
Just Millionaire
Millionaire
Farmer on YouTube.
Farmer.
And then The Gentleman Farmer 01. Or no, sorry. On TikTok.
On TikTok, the Gentleman Farmer 1.
The Gentleman Farmer 1. So check that out as
Yeah.
well.
I tried to be the
And,
Gentleman Farmer on TikTok, but there is an inactive user that is tying up that username.
Same with Smoking Oak. I couldn't have Smoking
Yeah.
Oak. I had to have
Yeah.
Smoke 08K
Yeah,
instead of an O.
yeah.
Well, it is what it is.
What a sacrifice we have
So-
to make. Hey?
It is. The times are tough, and if I could tell my grandpa just how tough that is, he would probably be sympathetic to me.
Leo, you know Leo?
That's my cousin.
That's your cousin, Leo Bloom. Been a good
He's a
show.
butcher.
Wow.
He should move up here.
Is he up
H&M? No, he's from
H&M's
Cameron.
going down.
H&M just closed, and butchers are a dime or no, they're not a dime.
Not a dime a dozen.
They're
Yeah,
very
no.
hard to find.
There's $1 million business idea. Open up a butcher shop in Grand Prairie because there's about to be a backlog.
But yeah, he's a butcher. He's been a meat cutter for quite a few years now.
Interesting. Wow.
So he was actually going to come up. My dad was just telling me that. He said, Leo will come up and do your pigs.
Interesting.
So
Well, what are we at for time? 2:01. I think
you got a thumbs up or want to do those pictures of pigs?
those are thumbs up. Big gap with H&M going. Absolutely, it's going to be.
Yeah, it's that frustrates me so much. So another thing that I do and Stan does as well, we advocate highly for educating the consumer and getting, as you always say, the best, most nutrient dense, ethically raised food onto the plates of the most people who
100%.
can.
Yeah.
And the struggle lately has been butchers either not being consistent
You can't
or
get them there.
not being able to make ends meet, so they can't, or not, and can't compete with legislation. I mean, they're regulated out, they're legislated out. The rules are unbelievable, and when we see them shutting down now, the rumor is H&M couldn't find a buyer, so they had to shut down for that reason. But it's very unfortunate that with as many as we have advocating for.
We're not getting ahead.
Shopping local, we're not making, we are making strides at getting people involved, and the more people that I talk to, they say, oh yeah, no, people are calling all the time, they want half a beef, they want half a pork, they want a chicken, they want whatever. The more and more people that we are getting involved, and then we're losing butchers on the backside as well. I'm trying to find you on YouTube. Okay, so yeah, if you look up Millionaire Farmer, it'll have the same, unless you're trying to find Smoking Oak. The Smoking Oak logo that you want to look for is this. I'll leave that there. When you find that, I think there's about 60 subscribers on our channel. It's fairly new. There's not much content. We only put our live streams out there. So if you're worried about getting flooded by subscribing to another channel, you won't get that. We don't do that here on Smoking Oak. It's just kind of, we put up some cigars we smoke, some whiskey we've tried, and then just our lives. So it's not a overwhelming amount of
It's not daily stuff coming at you, right? So the
the
Smoking Joe show. Hey, there we go. It's Kootenai Sound. Okay. Well,
This always happens. This always
Everybody
happens.
comes in late.
We should start this at like
We
9.
should start at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I had to step out. I had never had to piss so bad in all my life. Thanks for carrying it for that.
Oh, that's no problem. There's enough going on, and it's. We might have to do this as well. We might have to stream both on TikTok, both on YouTube, because we're to get that extra. I'm just gonna plug my phone in.
Well, that's the thing about if you're on YouTube, you get the landscape view at least. Or TikTok is always, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's portrait view, right? Straight up and down.
Sorry guys,
So-
I just had to plug my phone in.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Can anyone see anything?
Well, yeah.
It's
no,
pretty
they're
bad.
good.
Whatever. Okay. Well, if you're on TikTok and it's not working, as I said before, I definitely encourage you to hop over onto YouTube, subscribe to that channel, then you won't miss anything. Because Crooked is
Crooked is
It's
all
not
hell
working.
right now.
we didn't. This is the first time we did this. We didn't have this figured
We're
out.
really not set up. For
We're very
TikTok.
much amateurs.
If we wanted to have the whole study set up so TikTok could see it, I think we'd have to have the camera like way back, hey?
I think so.
In order
Yeah.
to get it straight up and down like that.
And I mean, it's possible we can do that. If I realize, like, there's a lot, right? There's Instagram, there's TikTok, there's all these other things, of Rumble and stuff, and YouTube, and people don't want to get.
Oh, scrapped one. They got a nice punch number 2. I think they'll enjoy it. Hopefully no rain. Yeah, no, that'd be a nice cigar. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You guys are technologically genius. But
we're all right. I'm gonna
we're
a little
like
bit more.
not far off being handicapped. Let's be honest.
We're just
If you wouldn't mind,
a little.
actually, just,
This is a really good. I think this is the furthest we've made it through one of these. But it's this is a really, while being the most consumed scotch on the planet.
God forbid we get below half a bottle, hey? That we can't do that. So
And it's just right away, right? 11 people on,
yeah.
comments coming in.
No, that's perfect. Well, I think a few of the TikTok crowd switched over,
Okay.
right, so they could see, right? So StreamYard is awesome. You guys can hit 4 different platforms at the same time. So that's one thing I've actually been looking into. You pay I think it's $16 a month. So it's not much, right? Just a couple bucks, right? $16 a month, and we can hit YouTube, Facebook, probably Instagram. I don't know what else they can do, but we'll look into it. See if TikTok's one of those. If we could link them all up at the same time, just
That would be interesting.
boom. 'Cause it's all web based, so it wouldn't tie up any more bandwidth or anything like that, right? So you were like down to the last knuckle of that
It's a
thing.
good
eh?
cigar.
It is a good cigar.
And if anybody watches,
it's been consistently mild throughout.
if you got some friends that you think that are might be bored on a, generally do these on a Friday night, but Saturday night, who knows when we'll do it over the winter. Yeah, tell them about Smoking Oak. It's a really good time. It's
Leo said, from what I know, a butcher's not even a friggin' trade anymore. Makes it hard to get us younger people interested in it. Well, I tell you, I've had a few animals butchered by some amateurs who, they can ruin a good animal, right? You pour your heart and soul into raising an animal, and if the wrong guy gets a hold of it with a knife, it can go sideways in a hurry, right? So, good butcher's hard to come by.
well, that's a couple things that really concern the consumer, and we've done that poll over on our Facebook page, Peace Country Local Food Connection. What's stopping folks from getting involved and buying direct? Because it's cheaper. It's cheaper and the food is better. Those two things are undeniable. You cannot argue the point that the food is cheaper and the food is better. What scares them off is getting ripped off and getting poor quality. Now, the poor quality can exist from a poor butcher.
Sure can, yeah.
Like, you can destroy, and like you said, you spent whatever it is, 8 weeks growing a chicken, a year growing a steer, a year growing a lamb, and to have it ruined, right? To have the sausage ruined, the jerky ruined, the hams ruined, the chops ruined, and that's unfair because while it's cheaper, it's not free.
That's
right? And I've told people that that extra, and if it's in the case of hamburger, right? Hamburger is $7 in the store, $8 in the store. If you're going to ask $5 a pound, you double that. So now you're going to be at 10 for all your meat. So that's $2 more than burger, but all you're selling is $2.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, it is a little more than the hamburger. Of course, it's exponentially cheaper than the top cuts.
The $40 a pound steak, right?
But you're selling so on the whole, it still is all cheaper. But to explain that to a consumer that you're going to pay $2 more for the hamburger, you're only selling $2, and you're only selling $2 for the pounds of hamburger than the rest they make up on. So. I think we are winning on that end. It's a slow process. I don't understand why it's a slow process. To me, it's a very simple process. But
I think there's got to be more producers that are open to split animals between consumers too, right? Like as a producer, we need to advocate for that because that is a huge fear factor for the consumers. What do I do with a 1,500 pound animal? Yeah, that's what they see. They see a full size cow, and they think, well, how am I going to get that into a freezer?
Yeah, and they got a freezer on top of the fridge.
And we have to tell them, okay, well, you're only going to get, maybe 60% of that right off the get-go. And can we split that into halves or quarters? Sure. And will you save enough money to pay the power bill on your freezer? Sure you will, right? So the education piece, for years I think small producers have been trying to articulate the quality piece, but they need to articulate the value piece.
Yeah.
Right. So we missed some comments here. Oh, Jeremy's on. Jeremy. Hey Jeremy, wake up from a nap. Jets, what a card, I tell you. What was the cigar choice this evening? So this, if you missed it, this was an Arturo Fuente curly head, 6.5 inches by 43 ring gauge. Very good cigar, very mild. Pretty. I would say kind of a basic bitch cigar.
It's smoke consistent from the first third right to the end.
Anybody could smoke this cigar and probably not find too much of a problem with it. I would say the draw tightened up on mine, as it progressed throughout. But overall, very good cigar, very consistent burn, even the one that happened to my leg when I dropped the ash. But overall good cigar. First thing, get some matches. Lighting with a Bic is a good way to change the flavor. So we don't light with a Bic. We do have a table lighter, and we have another butane lighter. So the Bic, I will say for sure, if you use a slow burn like this, will absolutely change the flavor.
But this is not that.
But you generally find with the torch type lighters, they're hot enough. And the thing to do when you're lighting a cigar, I'm just going to short demonstration. So if I was to place a cold flame such as this directly on the cigar to get it lit like that, for sure you're not getting a good clean burn, and it can affect the way that the tobacco is impacted by hydrocarbon, and it's gonna impact your flavor. But when you light with a torch, you actually don't touch. You stay probably 1.5 to 2 inches away, and you're just using the heat of the torch to light the cigar.
Effectively, you're getting a slow roast.
And you're roasting it, exactly. And so theoretically, it doesn't change the flavor profile of the cigar as you go through. Now, if you choose to use a natural method, you can use a long match. What you need to do is make sure that the sulfur head is burned completely off the match before you try to light the cigar, or you can have the same effect. Sulfur is going to make your cigar very, very bitter. So what you can do is
cedar,
a chunk of cedar, just like this. Actually, just break a chunk off and light it, and light your cigar with that.
You'll often find if you buy a cigar in a tube or you buy a cigar in a box, I believe that's where that cedar came from. It's going to come in the tube.
This came with the box, yeah.
That's going to be in there. So, I mean, myself included, the first cigar, I was like, what the heck is this, right? It must be so the cigar doesn't break. No, it's not so the cigar doesn't break. That's to light the cigar. You light the cedar, then you light the cigar.
Yeah.
That box of Monte Cristo that we bought came with that. And you break it. If you don't have a torch, you just break a piece of that off, light it that way.
Light that with a lighter, and then light your cigar with the wood, right? So, yeah. What have we got here? So, we have 4 deep freezes, and I don't notice a bunch of difference on my power bill. Yeah, you know what? Once they're cold, they're pretty consistent, right? So, if you got a decent one, right? Chad said, the problem I've got is where do I pack these animals now? Otherwise, I've got to kill and skin myself again. Then trying to find a butcher that isn't overwhelmed now with H&M gone. Well, what a wonderful time to learn a new skill. If you're talking about feeding your own family, though, in reality, it doesn't take a lot. If you get a gambrel hook, a tractor, a couple of tarps, some tables to cut some stuff up, some butcher paper, you can do okay, right? And I will say, a man has never caught a fish that he didn't like the taste of, right? If you've ever caught a fish and you fried that fish, you'd be like, this is the best fish I've ever eaten. You will never taste a cut of meat as delicious as the one that you raised yourself, killed yourself, and butchered yourself and cooked yourself, right? Because there's a pride piece of it. Now, you might not do a really, really good job of butchering that animal, but if you do a really good job of raising that animal and you send it to a butcher and they, no pun intended, but literally butcher it, they can ruin a good cut of meat.
That is very true.
But you won't care as much if you did it yourself because you're learning, right? And that pride piece, the pride tastes really good.
The one thing that I found, because I've done a couple myself, and Leo had made the comment earlier that, you know, as far as he's concerned, he's saying it's not even a trade anymore. Well, that would be unfortunate, because to find a master sausage maker, to find someone who can cure bacon properly, someone who can cure hams,
yeah,
these are maybe they're not hard to someone who's done it before, but for someone like me, it's to make the brine, to know the hours, to do this right. Really, I think, at least, and I don't mind farming this out and letting an expert do this, especially to meat that I'm going to sell to others.
Sure.
It's very important. And as you said earlier, when you spend a year dedicated to raising this animal up, ensuring that it's going to be a top quality animal, as you said, no pun intended, you don't want this butchered. You don't want this done wrong. So you don't want. I got bacon once. It was so salty that I had to fry it, wash it, and then cook it again, and rewarm it up. That puts you off of this stuff. And unfortunately, you often get one chance with people.
Sure.
When they've spent $1,200, $1,400 on an animal.
If you're talking about the consumer world where you're selling that product, you don't mess around with that.
It has to be right, and rightfully so, because it isn't free. As I said, it's cheaper than the store on a whole. Whereas the individual parts may or may not be cheaper than the store, but as a whole, it's cheaper. And if they end up getting the parts that they really want and they're not good, all of a sudden now it wasn't worth it. Because that's one thing that generally, like it or lump it, the store can provide consistency.
The store will provide.
When you buy a bag of Oreo cookies, it tasted just like the bag of Oreo cookies.
Anything that they could not provide consistency on, they turned into hamburger. It was consistently hamburger. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So. We should try a dessert cigar. How do you feel about a dessert cigar?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. I can't believe the people that Stan and I talk about this every single live stream. It seems to be the last quarter of the live stream is when the people really, really show up. I don't know if they're just finding us, or if not. I mean, there's 6 or 7 on this one, and there's 12 on this one. I'm going to.
How do you even see that on what's on TikTok?
I don't know.
It's so small.
To those on TikTok, yet again, I'll say it one more time before we get into these cigars. We're mostly set up on YouTube. The Smoke and Oak channel is set up on YouTube. Definitely, if you're enjoying what you're seeing here, if you're liking the conversation, if you like Scotch, you like cigars, I would encourage you to go onto YouTube, find Smoke and Oak, look for this logo. That's the picture on the channel. Subscribe to the channel, jump in onto the comment section on the channel, and then you'll be entered in to win a cup or a hoodie, your choice. We give one away every live stream, and it's a really good time.
If you're looking for clips or snippets of the channel, though, you did start the Smoke and Oak TikTok channel.
I just started that today, yeah.
So you can find that really, really easy. Just type Smoke and Oak. Oh, missed a couple comments here. Okay. Holy man, I missed a few. Chad says, fuck that. I've got too much on the go. Let's try to eat a steak cut wrong. Yeah, I know. I'll give you that. I've eaten some tough meat just out of spite, for sure. Christian says there's pretty amazing, comprehensive videos from the Bearded Butchers on how to break down most animals. Did 2 pigs with the pigs butcher and video film in their barn. Yeah. You know what? This one thing I've never done is butcher my own pig. But some of the videos those guys do, it makes it, very, very educational. Highly encourage anybody. If you're considering processing your own pigs, look up the Bearded Butchers. Not only are they going to tell you how to cut your meat, they're also going to tell you how to go through the whole killing process. They're going to tell you how to do all the processing, how to make your own sausage. Pretty awesome. Alberta Boy 74 Fred says, pride is what keeps me going. I love what I do and what I produce. So back to butchering, it is an art form. It is absolutely an art form, right? So very, very important. Chad says, had some guys who used to butcher for us. They destroyed 200 pounds of sausage with salt and never went back. And that's really, really disheartening as a producer, never mind as a consumer, to hear that, right? So you literally you get up at, whatever, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning every day to feed these animals, try to give them the best possible upbringing. Here on the farm, as with Robin's farm too, you raise every animal with a consumer in mind, and to have a cut of meat ruined is just shameful, right? So, swipe the TikTok screen sideways; it gives you bigger letters. Oh, I didn't.
It is.
I didn't know that.
I did that originally.
You got that figured out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So good. And Scrap 11 says pick distortion is worse on YouTube. Yeah, I will give that the upload to YouTube versus the upload to TikTok is different. I don't know why that is, but
well, there might be a way we can get another camera involved, or what? What are you using there?
I think this webcam that I have with the ring light, I'm gonna have to upgrade that. That was an upgrade from what we had originally, but I think I'm gonna have to upgrade again because it's still not super, right? So,
well, that's another thing too. We are learning. So if there's anybody that happens by this channel that knows about this stuff,
any tech gurus,
let us know, right? I mean, because as Stan had said earlier, I mean, the first one we did before this was a thing was 2 phones sideways,
two iPhones,
yeah, plastic table, a couple of old chairs, and we went at it. Now we got a mic and we got some ring lights and we got. So we're working away at it, and we are always looking for new things, but we don't. Certainly, tech setting up this media-ish thing is not my strong suit.
Certainly not my forte, but I mean, if somebody, not that I want to burn a whole pile of cash, but if that was the difference in video quality, I'd be willing to make the investment.
Oh, absolutely.
So. Kristen says there was a butchering show, I believe, by the same people that do Forged in Fire. And one of the bearded butchers was on that show. If anybody knows what that show is called, I'd be interested to look it up.
There's another one
Let
too
us know.
For the TikTok people, the Best Butchers.
Really?
They do lots of lives where they're just cutting up meat in the butcher shop, and they're in Ontario.
That'd be cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. There's a lot I didn't know, but.
Most recent one I seen was when that family came to cut up a ram in our place. That was an interesting experience. So,
yeah, I would have. That would have been something if you could have sold tickets for.
If I could have sold tickets for the pre-show, it probably would have been better in the actual butchering piece. Because when those 4 showed up and that old man stepped in the pen with that ram hit him so hard, it literally folded his clothes with him wearing them. And I've never seen an old man groan like that without dying afterwards. But anyways, you try not to laugh, but it was dark humor. Let's just say that it was funny, but not in a good way. But they literally just cut that ram into 6 pieces and they threw it into bags and away they went. And I asked him, I said, "What's the first thing on the menu?" And he said, "Oh, we'll just let the wives figure that out. If we have to figure that out, then we'll probably have to end up cooking it." So kind of an interesting insight into that culture, right? So
crazy. Well, these are mighty fine.
Yeah, this I think is a grape flavored cigar, like a cigarillo, I guess it would be.
Well, I was thinking because I texted you early. Stogies, what is a stogie? Is that these?
Well, the stogie is a cigar.
It's a cheap cigar, or a small cigar?
No, it's just a generic term for cigar.
I don't think you're accurate on that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think
I
think stogie is more specific.
I've heard Arnold Schwarzenegger, who I kind of look to as a
that might be the Western take on stogie,
guiding force on cigars. But he's I smoke stogies in my house, and he's got this thing that looks like a baseball bat that he's dipped in tequila. So I'm not about to argue with Mr. Universe over there, right? So.
Speaking of soaking them, I guess that's another thing we got to try yet this winter, right?
We've never yet infused a cigar. And I have some brandy in the house, and maybe I'll get some end of the line or some short run cigars and
Well, we were going to do that with these Monte Cristos because we had abundance of them.
Well, we
I
could
think it
try
was
that
like
with a Monte
25.
Cristo. Actually, that's an interesting thing too, because I've heard that is that if you take a shitty cigar and you infuse it, you're just having an infused shitty cigar.
Well, exactly.
So if you take a really good cigar and you infuse it, hopefully you have an infused but still good cigar and it's not ruined, right? But
And we generally buy cigars by the pair from either Cedar Gems or Al's News. That Monte Cristo was the first box we ever bought.
Yeah.
Like an actual whole box.
a whole box, yeah.
So
That's something you want to do in a sealed plastic container or glass container, though you don't want to do that in your humidor. If you do that in your humidor, it will destroy your humidor. I actually watched that on cheaphumidors.com. They have a whole video series on YouTube about specifically how to infuse cigars, and this is the very first big warning they give you is if you're going to do this in an old humidor that you want to throw away, or do it in a sealed container.
Okay.
Don't do it in a humidor that you intend to continue to use. So we used to haul goats to Langley. It would go from balling to chopped up into a garbage bag at the guy's place in less than 5 minutes. Guy would cube it, bone it, and all with a machete. Wow, that is intense. Well, I mean, some people are just really good at what they do, I guess. So, I know I've had a few lambs myself. Well, even mature animals that have, for whatever reason, they've got injured and decided, okay, well, I'm not going to save the meat for food, but I can save it for dog food. Process that animal as quickly as you possibly can, but I've never been a few minutes. It's always taken me at least 45. So, what brand of cigars are those? Well, these are the brand that comes off the back of a truck that drove across the U.S. border. They are unmarked, unlabeled, but they're a great flavor.
And they're quite good.
And they come in a Ziploc bag. I don't know. They're pretty much just pure nicotine and arsenic, I think. So,
they're pretty good.
They're good. They're tasty, short duration. They're just a little dessert cigar, right? So, yeah, kind of like a Colt, but they're not a Colt, right?
I can't even remember now all the names. Can't remember the name of these. Anyways, come to me eventually, I guess.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a detour off of Instantly Offended, but that's often how these goes as well.
You know what? I'm pretty happy that it was just more of a conversation this evening. We didn't spend too much time talking about how offended we really were, because Chad makes a good point when he says, there's a lot of that negativity in the world, and sometimes it's good to just
dispense with it.
Keep it light, right? And just let the bullshit go aside, right? So you cut that hide in a couple places and rip it off in one pull. Absolutely fascinating. Yeah, I watched these 4 guys. They show up with a set of Costco kitchen knives, and you try not to intervene but I mean, as a producer, when you watch somebody try to butcher an animal on your property and it's not going well, you kind of have to offer some advice and say, hey, maybe sharpen your knives a little bit, right? So,
but he's right. When you watch actually true masters of their crafts, you wonder
they just
why would you ever try this on your own? Once you've seen it done properly, you just think this. It doesn't make sense. I don't know how to do this.
If you can, I think if you can, you should. Right? It's a valuable skill set. It's something I think everybody should probably learn. As a producer, it's something I think you should have an appreciation for. But there's everybody has a skill set, and if it's something that you determine you're legitimately not good at, and you don't have the time to learn it, then yeah, just leave it to the pros. Right? So.
But yeah, you should never starve to death because you don't know, or you don't think you know. I mean, you'll figure it out, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, don't be the. What were we talking about last time?
Starve to death.
Young
in the-
men starving to
starve
death in the grocery store parking lot. Don't be that guy.
You know, it's funny. I had, you know, you talk about people that like we don't even know watch the channel or whatever. They chime in and they'll be 20 minutes in there and they don't leave a comment.
Yeah, they don't leave a comment. They just hop in, they
And,
see a thing, and they.
There's been
Carry on with the day.
several people that have you know, stopped me somewhere and said, "Yeah, you're right. This guy's gonna be starving to death in the grocery store parking lot."
Yeah,
and I'm like that's funny that statement really
That's the point that
resonated.
resonates. Yeah.
Resonated with people because it did with me. And when you start watching people so angry about inflation, and I'll be the first to admit I'm not really excited about it either. You know, Corey went to buy groceries the other day. She was over $500, and she didn't even buy meat. She bought, I think she bought sour cream and 4 liters of milk. Right, dairy is another one that blows my absolute mind. And I didn't even know this, but apparently in Quebec it's legal to sell raw dairy.
Is that right?
I didn't look into this, so I could be spreading this misinformation. But I heard this the other day because there's a guy locally here who's starting the fight against this, at least to try to get answers
Mr.
into
Foster.
why. Mr. Foster,
Yeah.
And I mean, hats off to the guy. I mean, I don't know him, but I've conversed with him.
Having the conversation, right?
Well, and that's I a few years ago, I actually really thought it might be worthwhile setting up a petition and just finding out who's interested in this, because I am. You know, I mean, and like you know, certainly the older generation who was brought up on raw milk doesn't understand what we've been into now. There, you see, one thing we had this conversation the other day. It's illegal to sell an uninspected egg in Alberta. I think in Canada, but nobody cares. It's under the radar and it's no big deal. Nobody cares about it because
it's illegal to sell an uninspected egg. It's illegal to sell an uninspected egg without identifying that it's uninspected.
Okay.
Not like raw milk. Raw milk is like straight across the board. Absolutely. You cannot do that without facing the wrath. But there's a whole like black market
there is
thing that where that does happen. And whatever, if you want to do that, go right ahead. And I have no qualms with that. I was raised on raw milk my whole life.
Yeah.
And you know, I think it turned out.
Well,
right,
yeah. I mean,
you
in
know?
fact, I think I was. So I talked to my mom about it. I mean, a couple of years ago, and she said, like, you know, we actually were under the understanding that pasteurizing it took everything good out of it.
Well, it kills all the bacteria, right? And so what we need to understand is that in your stomach, there's a certain amount of bacteria that you need, right? Have proper gut health, you need that. So why would you not, right? If you have a healthy gut, then technically all the stuff that's in the milk shouldn't affect you. If you follow good hygiene practices during the milking process. Sure, if your cow pisses in the milk or shits in the milk or whatever, and you get that bacteria in there, yeah, you need to manage that. Probably by managing it by throwing it the fuck away.
Exactly.
And I would say there's a few in rare cases where sloppy producers have not exercised good practices. It kind of ruined it for everybody else.
Yeah, and knee-jerk reactions aren't the best.
Reactions, but again, it's, you know, where the government brings in regulations because the social functions we have, aka the healthcare system, has had to manage large outbreaks of E. coli and things of that nature, right? So it has an impact on society, but for the most part, if you make a decision that that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. You're free to do it. You know, so.
Well, I would certainly think so.
You know, if somebody wants to drink raw milk, let them drink raw milk.
I don't see a problem with it at all, and I think that these you know, these unclean facilities and things as they progress in 2022 and beyond, they'll get weeded out. I mean, when people are worried already about shopping local, they're a little lenient to do that because they trust the supermarket infinitely more than they trust the producer. Poor producers will be weaned out right away, and they will be easily regulated out.
I think there's a vast difference though. Like if I'm a blind consumer and I just go to, and somebody just used the word Walmart in the comments, you just go to Walmart and you buy a jug of milk. You can blindly go to Walmart or any other supermarket and just buy a jug of milk, and there's no qualms, no ifs, no buts. Like, you're not going to get E. coli from that jug of milk, theoretically.
until they do. And
until
then
until they
recall it.
do, and then they have a recall, and then that becomes the thing to manage. But as a producer, I don't know if you do this, but I know I do this. Somebody wants to buy an animal or somebody wants to buy eggs. I vet them. I say, you come to the farm, you come for a visit, we have a cup of tea, you see how I raise my chickens.
Yeah.
You see how I raise my lamb, you see how I raise my pigs. And then you make a decision if that fit or if that aligns with your values of how the animal should be humanely raised, how it should be butchered, how all this process should work. And if we're in agreement, then we make a deal.
Yeah.
Right. But if you come and you're like, oh, you know what, I'm not certain about that. Well, then I'm not comfortable making that transaction because I don't want you coming back on me.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same thing with milk. If you can be an adult and you can go there and you can see the milking process, and you go, okay, well, this is legit and it's clean and it's hygienic, and I'm not going to get 50% cow shit in my milk. Well, why is it an issue?
Yeah, and that's just it. You know, I said that before. Like I wouldn't let the government regulate me into starvation. Like I wouldn't go down that road. And it's funny you said about vetting people, even with the feed that we sell, because since we've been inspected the last few years by the government, you know, I've had that chat with government inspectors, and they said, well, you know, you should be doing all of these things to cover you on your end. And I said, well, we kind of do, but more importantly, our customer base is the customer base that understands the simple principle that if you have livestock, you have dead stock.
Yeah.
They also understand that they have a responsibility as well to ensure this feed is stored properly. And when they're feeding it, if something isn't right, to stop feeding it. There's a bigger thing here than just treating everybody like they don't know anything. Because you're dealing with some real industry experts.
Yeah.
And even people who really know what they want, really know what they need, and really know what they expect. And then, because I've told them before, I said, I don't, save for maybe 2 or 3 people that have come and gone, I've never really worried about people's understanding of what they're getting.
There are a few people in there, though, that they get in over their head, right? They buy a small holding. They put a fence up. They come home from a small animal sale. They buy a goat or a donkey or a chicken or whatever they come home with, and they go buy a bag of feed. And they're like, "Where do I keep this?" Oh, okay, well, it's in a bag, so it stays outdoors. It's not stored properly. It gets mold, and they feed it, and that animal dies.
Yeah.
And they immediately go to, well, the feed quality was shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, no, it was your husbandry practices and your storage practices and your own biosecurity on your farm that was shit, instead of learning a lesson, right? So
yeah, and then you see that right across the board too, right? When you see a hunk of meat hung outside in 45-degree weather or whatever for weeks on end, and someone cuts you off a hunk and there's your 3 pounds, right? I mean, that's a whole different process than what others are offering.
Yeah.
And I really think that, those individuals would be vetted out of the system, right? We talked about this too, Alberta beef and Northern Alberta and farming, there's ethical farms all over the planet.
Sure.
To stop and think that Albertans are the only people that don't beat pigs in confinement.
Yeah, there's not a country you can go in the world where they won't stick their flag on the label and say this is locally grown, humanely grown, whatever. Right. That's all rhetoric.
Absolutely.
There's not a farmer on the planet who gets into it to do the wrong thing. But that doesn't mean that there's not poor farmers out there.
And that's just it. And that's it. I mean, I do believe there are people that take shortcuts. I've had this discussion with a lot of people too that say, well, I need my pigs ready in 5 months. And I said, well, how are you going to sell them? Well, they're farm raised. I said, well, unfortunately for you, that's generally not the case. Now, it's not, synthetic isn't the word for feed, but
sure.
What you're looking to do at this point is to buy heavily manufactured feed, confine animals on your small farm, grow them, effectively commercially raise these animals and then sell them as locally produced.
That's right.
There's no way you're going to get here. I mean, even my pigs take about 9 months.
Sure they do. Yeah.
Right, they're on 14 acres running around and probably burning more a day than they're gaining in some days.
Because you're not keeping them in crates; they're free range, right?
So, I do believe there are producers that cut corners, and with legislation and regulation, you would end up regulating them out, because it's just or they'll bury themselves.
The problem is that the people that create food regulations, or any regulations in general, are typically not the people that have an understanding of the industry.
Oh, very, very much so.
If you look at it, almost any health minister that's ever been in office, you would never look at them and be like, wow, that person's really healthy.
Yeah, that is
true. You go
to
any university and you take a class in business and you say, well, how many businesses have you owned and grown to be successful? You'll find that quite often people that teach business have only ever taught business. They've never actually owned and run a business. Right?
Oh, that's very true.
So there's a lot of people out there to tell you what to do that have never actually done it.
Yes.
So always be cautious of the regulators, right? The regulations are built for the worst amongst us, or the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And they're not built for the intelligent, cautious person.
But then often enforced amongst the masses, so it becomes difficult.
Yeah,
it becomes difficult.
Very, very challenging to do things. Bureaucracy and red tape.
We've had to skirt around all sorts of things, even with feed labeling, because things don't meet the level of manganese and I asked them. I said, a lot of the producers that come to us just want the grain. They don't actually want anything else.
Yeah.
And what they want extra, they want to add extra with their own numbers.
They figure it out.
That's what they want to do. Oh, okay, well then, so there are ways around it, but the regulation exists that under this umbrella, in order to simplify it by calling things what they are, you can't even do it.
Can't get there, yeah.
So it ends up confusing as time to get a milk cow. Well, there are lots around the countryside, and unfortunately, there's a lot of producers that are. I mean, a lot of milk goes to the pigs, which good for the pigs, but unfortunate for those who want that option and can't get it. That one has confused me for a few years now. There's
a lot of milk that goes to pigs. Yeah, I remember
salt on raw milk.
I remember, this is now 22 years ago now, growing up on the dairy farm and meeting the end of the quota. And what do you do when you've got 3,600 liters of milk coming a day, but there's still, 23, 24 days left in your quota period that you can't sell that. The truck won't even come to pick it up. So, but you can't stop milking the cow. So what do? You still milk the cow, and then you come up with a honey wagon, you suck it, you land spread that milk.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's hungry people all over the world.
And milk's $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 a gallon.
Milk is what? Yeah, what's the price of milk? I would rather give that milk away than see it just get spread on the field.
Well, that's one thing too, not just milk, but that's been really highlighted recently is people under the quota system, wherever they are, is burying potatoes again.
The quota system only exists. The quota system only exists. It's a mafia thing. It's price fixing.
It's terrible.
It's
right at the immediate level, like right off the start, there's nothing. It's right now. We're going to make sure that this price stays high. Yeah. So and even in a good year, we don't. It's getting easier now with refrigeration and processing to ensure a food supply exists. But they ensure that the world runs on a 90-day food supply, and they ensure it does.
Boy, now I know why folks come on at 10 o'clock, because the conversation we really get into it, and the comments start dropping like it's hot here. So
we missed some.
Cheetah Jazz is easier to manipulate the price of milk. Well, yeah, it's really easy to manipulate the price of milk. Very, very easy. Kent says got to set up a store at the black market. Well, yeah, if you're setting up at the farmers market, you're probably going to get you're going to get hosed because you still don't control the price at the farmer's market. Your price can only match that of the other people there. So you pretty well have to subvert that with a farm gate store.
Mm-hmm.
Well, folks gotta go. It's cool. Love your show. It's cool. Thanks. PS drive safe and eat my oats. We'll be back. So you must sell to that guy. So that's cool.
Who's that guy?
Scrapped one. So it's a good thing we have warning labels for those individuals. It's really a shame that we have to have some of the warning labels that we have. Wasn't any kind of like food packaging labeling that we have, because the food packaging label that we have is very, very misleading to begin with. And this warning label is now on hamburger because of the risk of heart attack, high blood pressure and things like that.
I heard all that.
And yet you can sell a Beyond Burger, which is A, they don't taste good. B, they're so full of chemicals and they're highly processed.
Yeah.
The risk there for bloodborne diseases.
Well, we don't even know the extent of the damage that will cause. I mean, that's going to be a years down the road thing.
We have an understanding of what it may cause in the short term, but we don't know the long term effects of it. But I will say that if what you're doing is you're blending up a mix of chemicals and you're highly processing the food, we learned this years ago with highly processed dairy products and what that does to the human body. It's not good for it, right? So some guy from town wanted to buy a steer for me and kill it with an arrow. I declined, and then he offered me double what I was asking. Yeah, you do run it from time to time. You run into some real special characters, but that sounds a bit. What would you call that? Sociopathic? That's a bit Christian Bale right there.
I don't know.
That's different. So. Chad said he had a dairy farmer neighbor. They had to spread the extra, pay to get rid of it in the system, and we've come across that before, where you either pay to get rid of it, or if you're fortunate enough to be able to get rid of it on your land, but your land suffers as a result of it, right? No field ever flourishes because you spread 3,500 liters of milk on it, But what do you do, right? So.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that you can see, as you said earlier, like people. We know there are hardships exist in the immediate surroundings. We know that. If you don't think that there are people that leave groceries on the shelf, you're a fool.
Yeah.
And to understand that there's good produce, there's good. There's a lot of good food goes to waste because of dumb legislation and stupid rules, quota systems. It is actually heartbreaking. To me, it is an actual sin to throw away food.
Oh, it's criminal.
While there are folks that go without.
Yeah, it's absolutely criminal. Well, Justin's sharing the live. That's much appreciated. So,
but. People are waking up to it. I don't know. I mean, it's a slow process, and what's the answer? I don't know, but people are waking up to it.
So Chad just said you watch people go hungry just because they control the supply up the price, and then the next comment is quotas in that system have any relation to proposed fertilizer regulations. So. I don't know where the fertilizer regulation is going. You could argue whether that's climate change or whether that's communism. The whole thing about nitrates in water in Saskatchewan is a pretty touchy subject for some of those folks. But I will say that it's really, really easy as an individual to be angry about the price of food and do nothing about it. If you take the average person in town who has even a front yard, never mind a backyard, they have the land base. We've done the math on this in previous live streams. If you have 200 square feet of garden space, which is very, very minimal, it's less than we have up here on the mezzanine, you can grow enough vegetables to feed your family for the year.
Mhm.
But people don't. They don't. They go to the grocery store and they pay far too much money for things that are halfway to being spoiled, and they throw 33% of it away? I believe
Yeah,
was-
and
believe
an
was the number.
obnoxious amount. Yes.
You know, like a crazy amount, like 14 million tons of food, vegetable-based food gets thrown away every year, and the consumer gets angry at the farmer for making too much money.
Well, I think you had said something. It was like 4,000 tons of plastic alone, packaging.
Yeah, I forget the numbers. but
I believe it was that
like
because it
crazy.
shocked the shit out of
I
me.
thought it was like more like 1 million tons of plastic, but it was a shocking number, anyways. How much plastic packaging goes into basically keep food fresh that's only going to end up in the landfill.
That goes in the dump too.
It goes in the dump anyways. So the environmental impact of that is like incredible, and the cost of that is incredible. The cost of that not only to today but to future generations they're going to have to manage that is like incalculable, right? We can't do the math on what that's going to cost future generations, because right now today we have probably close to 90% of the population that is not accountable for their own food. They think it's enough to go to work, they work their 8 hours, and at the end of the day they come home and they go to the grocery store and they buy the food, and the food is supposed to be there, and if the food is not there, they're angry at somebody else.
Yeah.
They're angry at the supply chain, they're angry at the producer, they're angry at the government. But at the end of the day, they go to the gas station and they buy $3 worth of gas and they put it in the lawnmower and they go mow the lawn for an hour and a half. But imagine if for that hour and a half they spend getting that fucking lawn off of there,
Yeah.
planting some potatoes,
Pulling a
planting
few
some lettuce,
weeds.
plant some kale, pulling a few weeds, make some, plant some pumpkins, whatever. It's incredible, especially in this part of the world. I know we have a very short growing season, but we've proven that even with the short growing season, when we get 20 hours of sunlight in a day in July, we can have immensely good yields.
Oh yes. And you can yeah, I mean you can pick things that are that are area specific, right? I mean the Corey and my boy were the other day, they ground up and shredded up zucchini for hours. We
Yeah.
put bags and bags and bags of zucchini in the freezer, so we'll have zucchini cake, which is absolutely phenomenal.
Apparently, if you pour pineapple juice, I'm not a big fan of pineapple juice because I think it's like environmentally irresponsible. But if you pour pineapple juice on zucchini and soak it, it tastes just like pineapple.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's the
So
it's the soy of the vegetable.
It is the
or
soy of the
vegetable. But
fruit world. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
very
Well,
very
I've got
versatile.
But yeah, I mean, I grabbed a few bags and I took them out to the chest freezer in the shop, and I thought and like you had just said, we're with everything available to us, the city, the co-ops, all the grocery stores, we're still doing our part. I don't expect everybody to have 10 cows in their backyard. I don't expect everybody to have one, but the options are available.
Yeah.
And for those that can, and like, as you said, everybody can have a garden. No, it doesn't. It can be 2 feet by 2 feet.
Yeah, if you live in an apartment building on a second story, you can put some salad greens in your window or on your balcony, and you can probably come up with a 90-day supply over the summer. You can grow the majority of your vegetables on your balcony or in your front window.
Yeah, and it's shocking the shift to Netflix and chill as opposed to
It's just too easy.
right,
It's
weed,
too easy.
weed and hill.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, unbelievable.
And I that's the one question I get lots of time. Well, not even a question. Sometimes it's just a statement. Is I don't know how you find the time. Because I don't spend it behind a screen.
Yeah, or even just trolling the aisles, right? I mean, I was talking to who was I talking to today about folks that work in town Monday to Friday, and then you'll talk to them Saturday. What are you guys doing? Oh, we're going to town, go shopping.
Yeah. Spend a day in Grand
Right,
Prairie.
when you just have Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
Why back all day Saturday and then half the day Sunday?
Yeah.
I mean, I hadn't been to town in weeks,
Yeah.
except to just run to John Deere and get a part and come back.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then it was raining today. Can't do anything outside. We'll run to town, do a bit of shopping.
Yeah, sure. Today's a prime day to go, right? Oh man, we missed a whole bunch here. How did dairy farmer neighborhood? Okay, so we watch people go hungry just because they control supply after the price. That's craziness. Quotas and that system have any relation to proposed fertilizer regulations? Want to save on emissions? Start with food waste and concrete. Concrete is one of the largest emitters, not only of just hydrocarbon-based emissions, but also radioactive emissions. Concrete, radon gas. That's definitely a thing. And people need the knowledge on how to grow in small areas. And I'll agree with that. I'll bite that hook for sure. There's a ton of people that they simply don't know how much they can possibly yield out of, like how to stack growth. They don't know how to do it. You know, you get a few small pots and some sunlight and some water and some seeds, and just how much that can yield. A lot of people don't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Chad says, look how large GP has gotten sprawled all over good farmland. That's where we should start on emissions. The concrete is crazy to produce. Government doesn't want to tackle that. Yeah, I mean, there's things in the works right now with the federal government specifically targeting metropolitan growth and reduction of farmland. That's a bit Klaus Schwab in my mind. You know, population control by elimination of viable farmland. I think that's something that we should actively worry about. But anytime you get large volumes of people in confined spaces where they cannot produce what they use, that should be really concerning to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the plan with the sunflowers? That must be for you. What's the plan? What is the plan?
Well, they're gonna get harvested.
Yeah,
they're gonna get
so
harvested.
Do you combine them or?
Well, yeah, I was just watching.
Do you beat them with a stick?
No, they're gonna get combined. I don't know how successful this is gonna be. My dad grew sunflowers in the 80s, and he combined them. These have been there is seed like development there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite the seed inside is quite soft yet. Although you can dry them, I guess, in a grain dryer. So
yeah,
as far as I'm not exactly sure. When I was watching on YouTube, sunflower growers have a special harvester that only takes the sunflower
just
off.
Takes the head off.
And then, much like corn, right? Like a corn stalk doesn't go through the machine. The harvester actually shoots the corn stalk down to the ground and only takes the cob off.
Sure.
All that goes through the machine is the cob. You start trying to thrash a whole 5-foot sunflower stalk. I mean, there's a lot of. So I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, it's not going to go well.
But I mean, I guess we can cut high enough that we can just cut the tops off.
Sure.
It wasn't the best season for them. There's a lot of undeveloped ones or whatever. But yes, the plan is to harvest them. Are they ready yet? No, they're going to need a frost. We haven't had a killing frost yet. It was like 0 degrees. I don't know how cold it got here, but we had a bit of frost on the quad seat one morning, but nothing in the garden got it. So
we haven't had frost here yet.
Haven't had any.
No.
One morning about 7 o'clock, or sorry, after we put my daughter on the bus. So after about 8, there was a touch and just got a little bit of frost on the quad seat.
Interesting.
But it didn't get the garden, didn't get the tomatoes or anything.
No, that's good.
So
3 degrees is as cold as it's been here so far. So
well, we definitely had ice on some surfaces.
Yeah.
And I think Justin had said it was -2 up where he is.
Whew. Well, that's a pumpkin killer for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think north of the glass there, the pumpkins are dead.
Did you grow pumpkins in your place?
No. Not this year.
I
We have every other year.
I planted a massive pumpkin patch this year, but got a bunch of baseballs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just no water, right? You had to manually water everything, and there was no help from Mother Nature.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Something that was, I guess, we didn't really think of because last year's drought was like biblical for this area, really.
Sure.
And I guess we didn't realize that this year was the same, if not maybe even worse or certainly comparable.
Yeah, I still got 27 like large pumpkins last year, but yeah, I just didn't get it this year.
I mean, and yeah, most people claim their hay crops were decent, or certainly better than last year. And
Yeah.
I mean, the grain crops did suffer as well, but
yeah,
I guess nobody understood that. Yeah, and I guess we just missed that it hadn't rained.
Hmm.
So
it's too bad. Too bad.
where'd that put us to? We'll be closing in on 3 hours.
We're
or-
3 hours. I'm already
Closing
on the
off.
button, so I'll be interested to hear from the folks at home what subjects they'd like us to tackle next.
Yeah,
We'll put up another YouTube poll, I'm
I'll
sure.
fire up another poll. Come up with some more ideas.
Seek some feedback on TikTok now that we're there.
Now that we're on TikTok, absolutely. For those, yeah, anybody enjoying TikTok, make sure you hop over to YouTube as well. Check out Smoke and Oak on YouTube. That's what this is geared towards. That's how the whole setup is. That this is the first live we've done on TikTok as well. So, if TikTok's the way to go, we might work at incorporating that as well. Like Stan said, we can look into this StreamYard and see if we can do them both. Or
Yeah, I'll see. Well, I know for sure we can get on Facebook at the same time. I'm not sure what other platforms we can do, but we'll figure that out. So
absolutely.
Jeremy never did get TikTok. Is that true? Jeremy's not on TikTok?
Oh, I have no idea who's on TikTok.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I get lots of user, and then it's like a bunch of numbers.
Yeah,
I don't know who.
even their names. Very few are
Their actual
yeah,
names.
I think Justin and Randy are actually the only ones I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then
Well, regardless, appreciate everybody joining us for the evening. And
absolutely, yeah, it was a good
little
it was a
chat.
good chat on a rainy evening.
Good cigar, good whiskey. Probably try it again sometime.
Absolutely.
So awesome. Okay, well.
Enjoy your night.
All right. Good night,
You bet.
everybody.